Believe we're good.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Virginia Harger. I'm the chairperson of the Shelton Planning and Zoning Commission. Today is Wednesday, February 21st, 2024, and the special meeting of the commission being conducted via Zoom and through a phone link is hereby called to order at 6:04 p.m. For the record, this meeting is also being carried live on YouTube. Would everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. I'll start off the roll call of the commission. Please verbally indicate you are present when your name is called. Commissioner Kelly?
Present.
Commissioner Motto?
Here.
Commissioner Parkins?
Present.
Commissioner Laskos?
Present.
Commissioner Tiki? Commissioner Cristiano?
Present.
Commissioner McGee?
Present.
Myself, Commissioner Harger. Mr. Rossetti, our administrator.
Present.
Ms. Castro, our assistant administrator.
Present.
Mr. Panico, our consultant.
Present.
Ms. Vernassos, our recording secretary.
Present.
And Ms. Charbonneau, our stenographer.
Present.
Very good. A couple of points before continuing today's agenda. Ms. Castro will act as the Zoom meeting host, while commissioners will be able to make comments throughout the meeting. The chair asks that you please identify yourself and wait to be recognized before speaking to make sure we're not all speaking over each other and to make sure our recording secretary and stenographers is clear as to who is speaking. Tonight we have the initiation of 3 public hearings, and I'd like to share the public hearing protocol. Ms. Castro will indicate if any written comments were received from the public no later than 24 hours before the start of this meeting. If written comments were received, they will be read into the record. The applicant and/or associates will make their presentation. The commission can ask questions during the presentation or at its conclusion. The applicant and/or associates can answer commission questions at the time they're presented or at the conclusion of the presentation. The public will be recognized to comment on the application. The applicant's attorney and/or associates will be given the opportunity to address any comments or questions from the public after the last person from the public has been given the opportunity to speak. If the commission feels further information is needed from the applicant, the chair will ask for a motion to continue the public hearing. If a public hearing remains open, the commission is not allowed to make any public comment, discuss any part of the applicant's and/or his associate's presentation, or receive any additional information from anyone. If the commission feels the applicant and/or associates have answered all questions and have addressed all concerns from the commission and/or public, the chair will ask for a motion to close the public hearing. Staff will then schedule a discussion about the application at an upcoming commission meeting, during which time the commission will be asked by the chair on how it wants to proceed. At the point in each public hearing when the chair asks for public comments, those members of the public participating remotely via Zoom will be recognized after using Zoom's raise your hand feature, and those participating via phone will be recognized after dialing *9. After you're recognized, please state and spell your name and state your address to assist the recording secretary and the stenographer when doing the minutes and transcript of a public hearing. Please present your comments and questions, which need to be directed to the chair, not to the applicant and/or his associates. Comments from the public should address specific criteria of the zoning regulations, the merits of the application, and be new information, not a repeat of comments previously presented. Members of the public are expected to practice appropriate etiquette by being quiet, observant, and respectful. Disruptive attendees may be removed from verbally participating. First public hearing is application 2228, Dominic Thomas for 118 Armstrong Road, Shelton LLC. Commissioner Motto, would you please read the notice of the public hearing?
Sure. Initiation of application 22-28, Dominic Thomas for 118 Armstrong Road, Shelton LLC at 118 Armstrong Road, Assessors Map 19, Lot 10, for a PDD zone change in an R1 zone for 41 residential condominium units. Plans entitled Initial Concept Development Plans, Plan Development District, Blossom Ridge, a residential community, 118 Armstrong Road, Shelton, Connecticut, prepared by J. Edwards and Associates, dated 8/30/2023, are on file in the Planning and Zoning Office. This property is generally bound as follows: northerly by 28 Partridge Lane, easterly by 128 Armstrong Road, southerly by 103 Armstrong Road, and westerly by 54 Daybreak Lane.
Thank you, Commissioner Motto. This application was accepted for review on December 13th, 2023. Documents posted for review on the city's website include the application for a PDD zone change, the statement of uses and standards, site plans, architectural floor plans and elevations, stormwater management report, sign posting photos, and a certificate of mailing. Ms. Castro, was any correspondence received within the time period of this proposal but not yet posted to the city's website that we need to acknowledge for the record?
There was one letter that I added in this afternoon. It came in on time, but it went through the spam folder. It was from Miss DBS. So that was uploaded, but I don't think anybody would have had time to review that prior.
Okay. And what's the name of the center, please?
Francine DBS,
And how do you spell that last name?
DIBIASE.
Okay, very good. Okay, Attorney Thomas, would you please identify for yourself for the record and proceed? Attorney Thomas, you're on mute.
Turn up the volume.
Attorney Dominic Thomas, Cohen & Thomas, 315 Main Street, Derby, Connecticut, representing the applicant. There were, when I checked today, there were 2 emails and 2 letters also from neighbors uploaded on this project, I believe. I didn't see the one from Miss DiBiase, but there were, unless she was on that, there were 4 letters uploaded.
Okay, 4 pieces of correspondence. Very good.
Yeah, but I just want to know, because we will address some of the concerns that were expressed in the letters. Again, as stated by the chairman, we uploaded the notices and sign posting photos. And if I can screen share, let's see if I can get. Okay, can everybody see my screen?
Yep.
Yes, we can.
Yep, I'm just showing you the location of the site, and the site is at 118 Armstrong Road. And it's, as you can see, the site is identified. Right now it contains a single residential structure on the site, and it is approximately 2.1 acres. It abuts a UI substation, large substation and high tension transmission lines there, and also abuts in a sense, or is corner to corner with the common areas and open space of Cranberry Hill Estates, which is a cluster family development. I'm sure you're all familiar with this area. This area also has, within this area, it has this Stratford Town Line is basically across the street. And at the end of Armstrong Road, of course, it goes into Bridgeport Avenue with offices and retail. This is a proposal for middle housing condominiums, townhouse condominiums, with respect, on this site. And you will see the in the presentation, we believe it fits on the site. In addition to that, the single family home will be converted into a 3-bedroom condominium and will be retained on the property in the front. The proposal is being made for a PDD on the basis that it is in a transition zone and that it abuts the UI substation and the high and the transmission towers with the transmission lines, electrical transmission lines. And again, I think we're all aware of the, every day when you open the paper of the housing shortage, and I think this is an effort to take a piece of property and in an area where you have some cluster single family, an area you have other types of condos generally within a half-mile radius of this, and you are proximate to Bridgeport Avenue, you're proximate to services, and you're proximate to employment centers, that it is would be a beneficial, and I believe it does, in its transitional state, it does comply with the requirements of 34.1. And with that, I will stop sharing unless I see that Jason Edwards is on, and turn it over to Jason Edwards to review the engineering plans. Jason, will you be screen sharing or do you want me?
I'll screen share.
Attorney
Okay.
Thomas, before you go on, could you just clarify the single family that would be converted? Is the footprint staying the same of the building?
Yes,
Okay,
you'll see it in the architectural, well, in the site plans and in the architectural plans.
thank you.
Can I proceed? Jason Edwards for the record, J. Edwards and Associates Engineers and Surveyors, located at 227 Stepney Road in Easton, Connecticut. I'm going to share my screen. I hope. Yeah, can everyone see the plan set?
Yep.
Okay, so we've entitled it Blossom Ridge, and as Attorney Thomas said, it's at 118 Armstrong Road. This is just the existing condition survey. The existing home sits down right down on the road here. You can see it here too. That's the home to be retained. The access would be from Armstrong Road. The proposal is to construct 5 different condominium buildings. They would be accessed via Armstrong Road with a single driveway coming up here. They would each have garage spaces as well as parking in front. There's also visitor parking. I believe we have 21 visitor parking spaces, I believe, as well as 4 handicap accessible units in the associated parking spaces. This is the grading plan. The proposed access is going to be somewhat of a ramp coming up here. It does meet town standards as far as sloping. I think we're at 8% coming up, which is not overly steep. We've got parking areas in front. They are all graded to drain back into the site. We've got a series of catch basins through the center here. The next sheet shows that better. The catch basins are located here, and the manholes and stormwater treatment units. All the stormwater here goes into underground retention chambers in the rear that eventually feed down to a large stormwater basin in the front. That's, I guess you call it a pond, really. And as that fills or overtops, or not overtops, but reaches a high level overflow outlets, it would discharge out and across the street to the large swamp on the south side of Armstrong Road, or east side of Armstrong Road.
Is it possible to, sorry to interrupt, but is it possible to enlarge your
Yeah, I can try.
please?
Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, just to show you again here, these are the catch basins, these rectangles here. All of the roof runoff would be piped into one of these underground systems. There's one here, there's one back in this area, and then there's a larger one in front. And then all that stormwater comes down and enters into this larger pond here, which is right behind the existing home. That in turn stores up to 100-year storm, is what we calculated, and then releases the water slowly and out and down through the existing street piping, which then discharges to the swamp across the street. We do have calculations that we provided with this. We provide no increase in peak flows or volumes during 2, 5, 10, 25, 50 and 100-year storms, I believe, definitely up to the 100. I'm not sure if we did the 50, but it would work too. We do also have on the plans a secondary emergency access out the rear. This is Partridge Lane is back here. I've got a drainage area map here too that shows this, but this access would come up and tie into this there's a town right of way here. This is city property that comes right through here. It was part of this former road. Maybe they were going to extend it at one point in time. That never happened. It's not likely to happen. But there is a right of way that allows access out to Partridge Lane. We have proposed just a driveway to go up and connect there.
Okay, can I just interrupt you for a minute? I've been trying to reach Commissioner Ticky and I just found out he is being delayed, so I'm going to seek Commissioner McGee, alternate Commissioner McGee, until he comes in. Okay, so Commissioner McGee, can you acknowledge that you understand that?
All good. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, sir, go ahead.
Okay. And this is I prepared just a quick drainage area sketch here to show where the stormwater goes in an existing condition. So as it flows now, the purple lines are the stormwater watersheds, I guess you could call them, catchment areas. And then you can see in our stormwater report, we classify these three areas as the design areas. There's design area 1, which is to the north, and then there's an area that goes to the south, and then southwest, and then southeast. So we really have no water from our site that goes to the north. There was a letter from one of the neighbors that was concerned about runoff going to this direction towards Partridge Lane, and the only reason that we included that area in our study is because of this emergency access driveway. But there's a high point here, right, where these all come together, and the water goes this way and this way and this way. So that's actually off of our property. And we don't propose, we're not sending any additional water that way that doesn't already go there.
Mr.
All of our
Edwards,
water's
Mr. Edwards, with all of the site development, proposed site development, there would not be any change in that topography, which
there'll
would,
be change in topography, but not right there. That
Okay.
area is not on our property, so we wouldn't be changing that.
Mhm.
That, you know, the access driveway would be following essentially existing grade going up there. And I don't know that that's a requirement. You know, we can talk to Attorney Thomas perhaps if he knows if that's a requirement. If we have to have that driveway there or not, but we can look into that further. So that, yeah, just to address the concern from the neighbor that stormwater, you know, it's all being treated in accordance with Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Protection Standards and guidelines. We treat in excess of the current standards, and we are in compliance with the newer 2023 standards. So we're comfortable with our stormwater controls. Just to continue on with the plans.
Before you go back, excuse me,
Yes.
could you point out the rather large transmission building for the UI?
That's down here.
Okay,
So our site is just to the northeast of it.
where's your property line go from the,
Our property line is, I don't
is
know.
here? Okay, thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
and the
So,
balance of that property, Mr. Edwards, that you were just showing, that is wooded, that is the UI property.
yes, everything, my understanding is everything to the south of us is UI.
Mhm.
I don't know exactly where there's a private home here. He's uphill of us. I don't know where his line is in the rear here, but directly this way is all UI property.
Mhm.
I can show it, I can later on screen share my GIS, which will show you a little bit more of that.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Attorney Thomas.
that's a good idea.
Mm.
So just to continue, we're connecting to sanitary sewers here. So we've got a sewer network or sanitary sewer network pipe network that comes here and comes out to the street. We have two options for where this will connect. We're still working that out as to which direction it'll go. There's a sewer main both ways here. We will have to install a new sewer main down Armstrong Road. So we'll be working on that approval as well.
Mr. Edwards, which community is going to be the sewers connected to, Shelton or Stratford?
I believe it's going to go to Shelton either way, but I would have to confirm that. I know if we go to the south, it would definitely be Shelton. I believe it's still Shelton to the north, but Dominic would probably know that better than me.
Okay,
maybe.
thank you.
If not, we'll have to get back to you on that. And we will also be serviced by public water here.
Mhm.
This is just our soil erosion control plan that meets, you know, DEP guidelines. We would have a couple of what we call temporary sediment basins that would be installed to divert water during construction, would get diverted into these temporary ponds so that the sediment would settle out before it left the site. And also we have silt fences protecting the perimeter, as well as sequencing on this page here. We have construction sequencing and erosion and site monitors and inspections, and all that is spelled out in here, as well as schedule. These are just construction details. And we also have a planting plan, which includes some screening plantings along the north side of the property, some interior plantings on the islands and parking, and around the stormwater basin.
Mr. Edwards, we have native plant requirements. Are you aware of that? Did you develop that list?
I'll have to confirm that. I did not prepare this plan myself, so I'll confirm that.
Thank you.
I can't see it, so I can't.
Which part would you like to see this year?
Well, if you can make that big enough for me to see it, I'll take, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, some are, some aren't. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, not
Rhododendron.
bad, actually. Yeah, that's a native rhododendron,
Okay.
swamp azalea. Yeah, looks like they're all natives. Good for you. So, okay.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Motto.
Thank you for enlarging that. Yeah.
Oh, I'm right in the middle of a meeting, Jim.
Yeah, that's the extent of my
Yep, it's like
presentation, I
9:30.
believe. I'd be happy to take questions, or if Dominic wants
Okay,
to
I should be done.
share anything else. Can do so. I can stop sharing at this point, I guess.
Someone else would talk about the architecturals, the design?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, any questions from the commission for Mr. Edwards?
No.
I'm saying,
That's it. Commissioner
doesn't seem
McGee,
to
I
be
have a,
much,
Okay,
Yeah,
Commissioner
much of
McGee
a
has a question. Go ahead.
setback distance from the lot lines. Those units seem to be right up against the boundaries of that,
Yeah, what about snow clearing?
not anything.
We have 15-foot side yard setback is what we're proposing.
All the way around? Yeah.
Yeah.
Could you put the plan
Okay.
back up, please?
Yes, I'm sorry. Shouldn't have taken it down yet.
"21 feet back to back." Wow.
I think there's a measurement, right?
Jeez.
There's a measurement on here. Yeah, I'll give you the right page.
It's by the first handicap ramp, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, right there.
That's 15 and a half.
15'6".
So that's the line that says BSL here. That's the 15-foot.
How
setback.
close is that parking pavement, though?
That looks like it gets to about 5 feet off. Yeah.
Mr. Panico, what are your concerns about that spacing?
I'm sorry, what was that question?
What concerns do you have about that spacing? Is it
Well,
too little?
my overall comments are that it's a very intensive development. You know, you're around a single family area, you're pushing your buildings 15 feet away from the property line, you're pushing pavement that much and even closer. The buildings are so tight, the backs of the buildings could look through the windows at the other people's unit. And if you're sitting out on the deck in the back, you're even closer. And you know, the parking goes within a couple of feet of the end of the building. It's very, very tight. You have a 8% single access to the property. even if you do make a road connection on the other side, you're opening yourself up to shortcutting traffic through this thing. With regard to the storm drainage, you know, you've got impervious coverage up around 80%. And that's in a residential area, that's very high. We get 80% in commercial areas, but not too often in residential areas.
Mhm.
And yes, there's a whole host of things that at this stage of the game, maybe they can be answered. One simple question, Mr. Edwards did indicate in his report about the peak drainage not being any higher than the peak drainage off the site now. But my question is, how long does that peak drainage last as opposed to how long it lasts today? The volume of discharge is significantly increased. Unless he can demonstrate that he's going to be able to recharge.
That's because of the pavement, am I correct?
Yeah.
No place for it to go.
I don't know. We haven't heard from the city engineer yet about a review of the drainage report. But it just, my impression is it's very intensive development in a otherwise single family residential area.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you for the sharing that with us, Mr. Panico.
I'm sorry.
Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yes, that's a very brief review, waiting to get the presentation tonight so I can react a little bit better.
Right. Very good. And no other questions from the commissioners? Did you want to address what Commissioner Parkins was concerned about for snow removal?
Yeah, we do have some areas here at the end of the bays that snow can be pushed to, as well as this parking area here. So, you know, it would be, you know, there's room to plow snow, in my opinion.
So you'd be taking parking away for snow removal?
Well, not if we pushed it off the end here. You have the two end rows here you could push it off to, and you may potentially lose one space down here, I would say.
What kind of a barrier are you proposing for around the premises to make sure that snow removal would not intrude onto someone else's property?
That we'd have to look into that. Yeah, we could put a guardrail or something there, but that's not something we've addressed yet.
Okay.
Chair, this is Commissioner Laskos.
Go ahead, Commissioner Laskos.
Yeah, one of the at the top of maybe the north side of the print, there's a shed that the plot line goes through. One of the neighbors from Partridge. Are there any legal claims against this property?
Not to my knowledge. That shed, yeah, it's over the
There aren't
line.
any legal claims against the property. If the development goes forward, we'll have to address with the neighbor removing the encroachment.
Mm-hmm. Have you done a survey, a formal survey?
Yes, we completed a survey.
Yes.
Okay.
This is Commissioner McGee.
Yeah, go ahead, Commissioner McGee.
So quick question on the driveway off Partridge. Is that an emergency access way just for emergency vehicles, or is that for all resident access?
That's intended to be just
It's,
for emergency vehicles.
At this point, it's for emergency vehicles. Obviously, the fire marshal, assume he's been provided the plans, he would comment as to whether or not he feels that is or is not needed in this situation.
That's like a second choice of evacuation, right?
Yeah, that would be it. If he wants it, if it's available, but it will not be a regular, it will be a gated.
Yeah, it's a gated access only.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Does that help, Commissioner McGee?
Thank you.
Okay. All right, if there aren't any further questions, do you want to go over your architecturals, Attorney Thomas?
Yeah, I just wanted to address the question that was asked. If Jason, you could stop screen sharing and.
Yep.
Okay. Unfortunately, my little note is over the substation. So I just wanted to point out to you this entire parcel reaching all the way over to here is part of the UI. I think there's a small building here in addition to the substation. There's a small building here. If you can, I don't know if you can see my cursor.
Yeah.
And and these lines here, they're faint. You can see them. This is the transmission lines.
Mhm.
That's the new poles they're putting in, right?
I assume, yeah, they were the older ones. I think this is area they're working on.
Yeah, they're gonna
Replace
change them
the,
to the bigger.
Monopoles. They're gonna be chased to the
Right,
110
exactly.
foot monopoles. Yes.
Commissioner, I just have one question for from
Mr. Edwards?
Mr. Thomas too. On seeing that the building, the original dwelling is going to be changed to the condominiums. Is that allowed to have that second exit out to Armstrong Road, or should it come around to where everyone else comes in and out?
No, it can have its own exit. That
Okay.
would be handled in the declaration.
Okay.
The next if there are no more questions, I'll go to the architectural. I think Mr. Geddes is on. John, do you want me to screen share or do you just want to screen share?
Yes,
John,
Dominic, if you could screen share.
Okay.
Why do we have 4-unit plans when we don't have 4-unit buildings?
It's meant to be just the typical design. For the record, I'm John Geddes, Geddes Associates, the architects for the project. And I'll go through the plans. I can't address density. I wasn't involved with that, but basically the plan as proposed contains 5 new buildings with the existing home to remain and be facelift to mimic the new buildings. The buildings consist of multiple units. It's basically a typical townhouse style design, with the exception that 4 of the buildings contain each contain a ranch unit to accommodate the ADA requirements. All of the units are 2-bedroom. All of the 36 townhouses all have garages. The 4 ADA compliant units do not. They have outside, parking spaces. Each has a bath and a half, and they average from 12 to 1,600 square foot per unit. The smaller units basically it's because of the ADA compliant units behind it. The design is meant to be contemporary colonial in nature. And it's, as I said, it's a pretty typical, type of design. Dominic Thomas is showing the plans of the existing home, and now it's the typical.
Yeah, this is the existing home now.
Right. The existing home is a very small, I believe it's only 2-bedroom. Am I right, Dominic?
I believe the proposal is for
bedroom
to have
It's
a bedroom
extremely
on the
narrow.
first floor, a master bedroom on the first floor, and
on 2 bedrooms on the second.
floor.
So again, it's existing. It's not large, but there will be. The proposal does include cosmetic changes to it, both exterior and interior. So I mean, that's your basic program. I did not draw plans for each one of the buildings. I just did a typical layout and a typical townhouse elevation. But if requested or required, I can proceed to provide elevations on each one of the buildings.
But the rear elevation that you've drawn there, that's essentially typical of all the units.
Pretty much. There are some changes to some of them, because in some cases, I had proposed to put some balconies
You
or
show
patios on the
you
ground
show
level.
balconies on the site plan, but I don't see them on your architecturals.
Well, there was a lack of communication between myself and Edwards when we drew it up, but again, it's the intent is that wherever we can put. And at the time when I drew the elevations, I didn't have the site grading plan. In some cases, depending on how the site grading is, the back of the buildings, the first level, the grade will be higher. Now that we have the grading plan, again, I can provide for the commission a revised set of plans that will depict the buildings as laid out on the site.
Yeah, I would request that you go ahead and proceed with that, Mr. Getz. Thank you.
Okay.
But that elevation is a little bit misleading when you think about the 6-unit building. It's
No,
pretty
and
monotonous,
again, as I
even
said,
for the 4-unit building, it's pretty monotonous. Make it 50% longer, and it's going to look like I don't know.
well, most of the buildings have enough features that it doesn't depict. The only building that has a little bit of an issue is the building that backs up to the UI property. And the reason is it's 15 feet from the property line, and there's a grade differential between the front and the back of the buildings.
What about the building that backs up to the property in the rear?
That one, if you look at it, that has details that once I depict it, you'll see that it's not as monotonous as what is being shown on the rear of this.
All in all, the architectural don't seem to match the site plan.
No.
And I agree. And as I said, I'll provide revised plans.
Could you go back to the one that shows the first floor plan, the first and second floor for the house? I thought there were supposed to be 3 condo units here. Is this is not the footprint of the entire house as it exists now, is it?
Yeah, that's the house. The house is only what it is, the home. It'll become one of instead of the proposed new buildings consist of 40 units.
Right.
This would be the 41 unit. So it's not meant to be broken up into additional units.
Right. I thought I had heard Attorney Thomas say that the house would be 3 additional units. That's why I questioned.
I heard the same.
Three bedrooms.
Well, I think
3 bedroom.
again, I can't speak for
I said
Dominic.
3
but I
bedrooms.
think
One
he's
3-bedroom
referring
unit.
to the number of bedrooms.
Yeah, 1 3-bedroom unit.
Okay, got it.
Where is that unit?
It's the last drawing. So
Right on the
Excuse me?
street.
it doesn't have a number on it, the unit, the
Oh,
drawing.
is that 41?
Yes. Yeah, that's the house that's there right now. And on
Yeah,
the,
the drawings don't have a number on it. That's what I'm saying.
yeah, they do. On 2.0 site layout plan, the house is shown and it's identified as number 41.
No. The layout.
No. Well, maybe the applicant can tell us.
I have a question for the applicant too. On the handicap units, you said they're ranch style, so it's just one level?
That is correct.
So how does that, and it's right next to a 3-story condo, so how does that, there's a difference, right? I mean, one's going to be flatter and the other one's going to be higher?
Now, if you're familiar with typical townhouses,
Right.
basically you have the garage in the front and you have a bonus room in the back.
No, I know that.
Well,
I can
the
see it
ranch
here.
ranch units are made up of the 2 bonus rooms in the back, and it's just increased by, I believe.
So you still have three stories then, am I correct?
That's correct.
So you have one down, you have your handicap unit on the first floor, do you have another unit on the second and third floor?
No, basically on the second and third is your townhouse. If you didn't have the ADA unit, the townhouse would have a bonus room in the back. So you
Yeah, it
take
would,
two,
right.
so you take two townhouses and you utilize the back of them on the first level to create the ADA unit.
Correct. That I know. But
So
what-
on the upper levels, you still have the townhouses, except you have the living space. You have the living room in the front, kitchen, or the living room in the back, kitchen and dining room in the front, and then
Right,
you
now,
have the two
that, are
bedrooms
they
on the upper level.
comprised, are they comprised of 2 units?
Yes,
Mr. Getz, first of all, I want to acknowledge that Commissioner Tiki has now joined our meeting. Commissioner Tiki, could you please acknowledge that?
I have to promote him 1 second.
Oh, okay,
I
sorry.
didn't see him on there.
Okay, and but if on the sheet number 2.0, the site layout plan, each building has numbers superimposed over each unit. 6 and 7 is that combo unit.
that's correct.
Okay.
Dominic, if you can go to the page before this one that shows the ADA unit behind it.
Well, either one, A-1A or whatever.
Well, okay, this plan that's on the screen,
Right,
is, again, that's, you can see that the garages, the stairs going upstairs and the ADA unit behind it.
But that's
So
not what
if
the
you go-
site plan says.
huh?
That's not what the site plan shows, the double numbers. These double numbers are at the parking area. And on the site plan, the double numbers are on the adjacent property line.
Before we go on, gentlemen, Commissioner Tiki, could you acknowledge that you've joined the meeting?
Yes, Commissioner Tiki has been here since 6:40. Thank you.
Thank you
Sorry
so
for the
much.
delay.
Okay. All right, so alternate Commissioner McGee, you will be removed from your seating at this time. Okay,
So acknowledge.
thank you. All right, go ahead, gentlemen.
No, I was just trying to relate the floor plan of this 6 units, I guess, I think. How does that,
Strange.
the one on the site plan, the 6-unit building on the site plan has, oh no, wait a minute, over here it's set by I'm sorry, I'll take that back. This one is on the front.
Yeah,
Yeah, but 20 and 21 are on the other side.
Yeah.
And,
8 and 9
and
is in the
20,
next building.
22, 23, and 22 and 23 are on the other side.
no, what I'm getting at is it's 5 and 6, 2 separate condos.
2, 3, 4, 5. No, it's 6 or 7
No, it's.
on the floor plan. I mean, on the site plan.
You can't see number 7. It's hidden somewhat on the drawing. It's above the
Building-
staircases.
4, 5. Building number 2 and 3 are 6-unit footprints, but 7 units in the building.
and that's correct.
And building number 4,
Okay, I see that. All right,
building number 4 has the extra unit up against the right-hand property line. So northerly.
So Dominic, if you can go to the second floor drawing.
yeah, I didn't see 7.
So again, this is still the first floor. Go to the next drawing. Oops, no. But again, the ADA units are on the first floor,
Right, and that's
Okay.
one
That's-
condo unit.
right? And
Right,
then
the other one
on
split
the-
up after the first floor.
Right. The
Okay,
second and third floor are your standard townhouses.
right, okay. All right, now, another question, doing that. So actually, one of them don't have a garage, right?
The ADA units do not have a garage.
Okay,
Do they have driveway?
They have.
no, they just have a parking space
They have an ADA parking space.
and probably a ramp, right?
Well, the ramp has to be minimum.
Or
because-
sidewalk, whatever.
Right, it's more of a pathway.
Mhm.
So
And,
where is the entrance from the ground level into the handicap unit?
it's on the side. If you go back, Dominic, you can go back to the drawing we had.
That
You
I
can
saw,
see-
that's what was confusing to me.
That's
Yeah,
what
but-
the red is. Okay,
You see where the red, it leads you to the entry door.
there it is. Right above, right there.
Yeah,
Okay.
Do they have a patio or a deck?
Well, generally, you put a patio behind the parking space.
that would be in the front. There's no room
That's-
for a patio in the back.
Well, it would be in back of the parking space, which is alongside and the only reason it's colored red is so that to indicate travel path to the entry.
Right.
So you would put their deck somewhere between the top of that parking space to their door?
Yes,
Yes.
Wow, that's weird.
In the area behind the handicap symbol up to all alongside where the red and white slashed area is.
Right.
5 or 6 feet from the property line, huh?
No, that would be on, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
You look at building number 1, look at the parking space, the handicap parking space, and the walkway, and what appears to be maybe 6 or 7 feet, 5 to 7 feet from the property line.
Mhm.
Mhm. Yep. Yeah, the other sheet 2.0 shows those red and white striped areas on each of the buildings. So, and there's only 1, 2, 3, 4 out of the 5 buildings have the handicap ADA unit. Is that correct?
that's correct.
Okay.
And again, as I said, I can't speak for density and obviously but the standard on this type of unit, and it's pretty common, is that you in some cases the parking space is set closer to the entry door, but you have, whether it's a deck or if you're able to do it on grade, then it's a patio, but you provide a patio sitting area for the ADA units.
Mm. You don't have an elevation prepared of how the outside of an ADA unit would look?
No, as I said, I'll prepare the correct, now that we have the final or
Okay.
the proposed site plan, I'll be able to generate the elevations that are appropriate for the site.
Okay. Do you have anything else for us, Mr. Getz?
No, that's it.
Any commissioners have any questions for Mr. Getz?
No.
Mr. Panico, how about you?
Nothing other than what we briefly talked about.
Attorney Thomas, do you have any final comments before we move into the public portion?
I know, nothing further at this point.
Okay. All right, so we'll move to the public portion and we'll start out with elected officials of the city of Shelton who may be participating remotely. If you are an elected official and you'd like to comment on this application, please use Zoom's raise your hand feature or dial *9 on your phone to be recognized. Ms. Castro, is there anyone that has used Zoom's raise your hand feature?
Not an elected official, but I have someone available.
Okay, let's move further before then to any elected official who may be participating by phone. If you are, dial *9 if you'd like to be comment to the commission. Ms. Rossetti, Ms. Castro, is anybody
No.
using *9? Okay, so we'll move on to the public participating remotely. If you are a member of the public and you'd like to comment on this application and you're participating via Zoom, please use Zoom's raise your hand feature or dial *9 on your phone to be identified. Ms. Castro, do you have somebody there?
First person is Mr. Tom Harbinson.
Okay, Mr. Harbinson, please identify yourself for the record and proceed.
Sure. Thank you very much. Tom Harbinson, 15 Soundcrest Drive. Apologize for not being able to watch the beginning part of your meeting, but I understand this being a PDD in a residential zone and some comments that Mr. Panico made about the amount of impervious surface in a residential zone. I was wondering if somebody could enlighten me as to how this qualifies for a PDD usage for the application.
Okay. Anything else, Mr. Harbinson?
Not at this time. Thank you.
Okay, we'll continue along with other members of the public before going back to Attorney Thomas. So, Ms. Castro, is there anybody else?
Next person is Miss Margaret Paulson.
Okay, Ms. Paulson, please identify yourself for the record and proceed.
You can try again. I don't know if she heard you as she was transitioning.
Okay, Ms. Paulson, you're recognized. Please identify yourself for the record and proceed with your comments. Is she elevated as a panelist?
She is.
Is she on mute?
She is.
Okay, Ms. Paulson, if you're there, last chance, and then we're gonna move
Can
on.
you hear me now?
Now we can hear you.
Oh, thank goodness. I'm
Okay, you
Margaret.
have 5 minutes to present your comments. Go ahead.
I'm Margaret Paulson, 64 Sunset Drive. What I did not hear being addressed is the light noise from this unit reflecting on the neighbors. Light noise being street lights and light that's blocking basically, you know, the sky at night. I think the other developments around it, you know, there are other townhomes, so it isn't keeping, but the other townhomes there, they are half townhomes, half, you know, open space. There's no open space in this PDD. Like Tom said, why does this qualify for a PDD? And will there be blasting, damaging neighbors' homes? Those are my concerns. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Paulson. Anybody else, Ms. Castro?
Yes, next person is only listed as iPhone. So they will be transferring now, and I will.
Okay, the member of the public whose identification is iPhone, please state your name and identify yourself for the record.
Hi, my name is Sergio Estevez, 103 Armstrong Road.
Thank you. Go ahead, sir.
So my main question is, I live across the street from the proposed my slope goes, the back of my yard goes down obviously into what you guys are calling a swamp, which is really not a swamp. So what's gonna happen, and is it gonna go through my property, and you know, are they gonna be damaging anything that I own to run all these pipes to bring over the water, as you guys explained earlier? And two, there is no sewers on Armstrong Road. So when they said that they would tie into the sewers using Shelton, I don't know what sewers they're talking about, because Armstrong Road does not have sewers.
Mm-hmm. Okay, anything else, sir?
Yes, and also I wanted to also reiterate about the blasting, because I've lived in this home. This home was built in 1920, and when they did the Cranberry Estates, which are further away than this proposed site, there was some damage to my house. So I could imagine if there's going to be blasting, me living this close to it, is this going to affect mine and other neighbors' properties?
Mm-hmm. Okay, anything else, sir?
That's going to be it.
Okay, would you do me a favor and please spell your last name for the record, so for our stenographers?
Estevez, Esteves.
Very good. Thank you so much. Ms. Castro, is there anybody else?
Yes, next person added in will be Mr. Christopher Turchek. Give him a second to transition.
Sure.
Hello, this is Chris Turchek. I'm at 8 Jordan Avenue. And my concern is just that this seems like a very residential area to be putting a very dense number of units, and it seems to be right on top of the people's backyards that are existing there. So I would just be concerned about that, as well as all of the water runoff, because this is going to be a lot of driveway pavement. And additionally, it was a little confusing to follow the development plans of all of the buildings. So that's just my main comment. It's just a very dense townhouse development, not a lot of green space, right on top of existing homes in what seems to be a nice neighborhood. Homes upward of $600,000 seems to be, I don't understand how this really qualifies.
And sir, do me a favor, would you spell your last name, please?
It's Turechek.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Castro, anyone else?
Next person will be Sam Steiner, transferring now. Oh, sorry, I muted him back. There we go.
Hi there, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can, Mr. Steiner. Go ahead, identify yourself for the record.
Hi, my name is Samuel Kutsarek. I live at 15 Partridge Lane. I have concerns with data from CT Eco listed in the report about state and federal listed species on and nearby the proposed property, especially with the Endangered Species Act. And with the stormwater runoff, I see potential with developing the property, but also with the local environment. Stormwater runoff has a long history of severely impacting both wildlife species, but also human health. And I also, I also have some concerns using Resilient Connecticut data on social vulnerability of the nearby areas. Lots of the recent developments nearby Cranberry Estates has increased the social vulnerability of the Shelton population. And living at 15 Partridge Lane, I'm rather worried with climate change about impact of heat and water. And those are my comments. Thank you.
Okay, sir, would you spell your last name, please?
Sure. Kocerek.
Thank you very much. Okay, Ms. Castro, anybody else?
Next person will be Pat LaBelle.
Okay. Is he with us?
Hello?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good evening, sir. Go ahead, spell your last name and identify yourself for the record.
Okay, Gilman LaBelle, 99 Armstrong Road. And my gripes are it was mentioned too many buildings for the size lot, which should be 4 acres. These buildings should be going on 4 acres opposed to 2.1. Now the traffic is outrageous. We've been fighting with that. It's a shortcut for trucks, tractor trailers, you name it. And everything is overloaded. The school system is going to be overloaded. Then we got to look at the prospect on the emergency vehicles trying to climb up into that area. And there's no sidewalks. That's another thing. Okay. And my other gripe was
No, it's not a gripe. It's a concern.
my concern, and that was already mentioned, of the flow. to the
Also onto
cranberry
the
pond.
inland wetland,
Huh?
our inland wetland.
Yeah.
Cranberry,
Mr.
Cranberry
LaBelle, Mr. LaBelle, if we're gonna have comments from two people, our stenographer is not gonna be able to transcribe it. So I would ask you just to please, one person talk at a time. And if a
Okay.
second person wants to speak, they can be identified as well later on. Okay,
And the concern is Cranberry Pond, any kind of runoff over there or overflow. Now with the climate changes, we're getting all this excessive rain and storms, and I don't think these basins are going to do anything. And the big concern too, which is mentioned already, is the blasting. The total area in that area is all total ledge. And to run services, electrical, sewers, water, is going to be a challenge. Blasting.
all right, that's enough.
So that's my concern. I appreciate it. Listening to me.
okay, and sir, what is your first name again?
My first name is Gilman.
Okay, Gilman.
Correct.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
Ms. Castro, is there anybody else?
Next is two names listed, Nancy and Remy.
Okay. The person who is going to speak to us, please, have they been elevated?
Yes.
Okay, so Nancy or Remy, whoever is the spokesperson, could you please identify yourself for the record?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, this is Remy Kutzarek. I live at 15 Partridge Lane.
Okay, and could you just spell your last name for the stenographers?
Sure, Kocurek.
And what number on Partridge?
15.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Sure, upon examining the plans for this development, my initial reactions were about its intensity, which was mentioned. It also is such an incredible departure from what is adjacent to it, meaning homes that have been there for 60 or more years on 1 acre or 2 acre lots. So it really is a complete mismatch for the neighborhoods in which many of us grew up and live, and purchased those houses, quite frankly, because of the environment around them. So it seems as though the town and this board has a responsibility, and I know you take this seriously, but to make sure that this contract, if you will, isn't just undone for the sake of undoing it. That, we as residents have the right to live in an environment that we purchased into. The other thing was the mention of the swamp. It really isn't a swamp. It is a bog. It's been studied intensively. There are many species that are flourishing there. And my concern is the 80% impervious area will cause a lot of runoff. We're talking about 50 and 100-year storms. Well, we are breaking records every day with, the environmental change. So I would say those are my concerns. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And Nancy Steiner would like to speak if she can.
Yes, go right ahead.
All right, my name is Nancy Steiner. I live at 23 Partridge Lane. I am an original inhabitant. I was there when the neighborhood first started, so I've been there a long time. I wanted to talk about something a few comments that were made during this presentation. Someone was talking about the overage water would go down to what he called a large swamp. I think he was talking about Cranberry Pond. Now, to call Cranberry Pond a large swamp is a huge insult to Cranberry Pond. Several years ago, Yale University did a study of Cranberry Pond and found out that this pond is rare and unique, and it's one of only 3 in the Northeast Now, when you think about that, that is a precious, precious jewel that we have right in our town. And no matter what season you drive by, especially in the autumn, is absolutely stunningly beautiful, but it's also important. It's a rare pond, and the gentleman that was talking about the water drifting over to the large swamp is kind of a careless, it's a careless disregard for what is something that is precious. So that's one of my main concerns. And I also think that this project is totally unsuitable. Who would think of putting this on a street that's zoned R1? Now, you know, I go way back. I go back to Richardson Vicks. So I've been around a long time. And I've seen so many changes, but you can't do such a drastic change as what you're doing now. Take those couple of acres, put a couple of houses on them. That's what belongs there. This project is an insult. It's an insult to everybody that lives around it. So, as you can tell, I'm pretty passionate about it. And I hope that at some later time I might be able to talk a little bit more about it. But anyway, thank you for the opportunity.
You're welcome. Ms. Steiner, can I just ask you to clarify? You mentioned it was one of 3 in the Northeast, one of 3.
One of 3 very rare ponds, unique and rare in the Northeast. It's one of 3. And you know what? We're going to ruin it if we do this. You're going to ruin that pond.
Okay. Very good. Thank you so much. Ms. Castro, is there anybody else?
There's a third person listed with Ms. Steiner. You want to make sure they don't want to talk?
Thank you. We're all set.
Good. Thank you so much.
Next person will be Jay Norton. They're being promoted now.
Okay.
Hello,
Hi, good evening, sir. Identify yourself for the record, please.
it's Joseph Norton, Norton. I live
Okay.
at 19 Partridge Lane.
All right, sir, go ahead.
Yeah, to reiterate what's been said already, that this is just inappropriate for the environment as well as the aesthetic of what our neighborhood is, which is single family homes, 1 acre minimum. Been here at Partridge Lane for about 28 years. It's a quiet street. If we see 5 to 6 cars go by our house in a day, it's a lot. The proposal to open this up to almost 100 parking spaces and the traffic down a small residential street such as ours, quadrupling the traffic flow and the water runoff with people that walk their dogs and kids that play in the street. It's an inappropriate use of the space. To reiterate what Ms. Steiner said, 1 acre per home. 2 houses, if you want to subdivide it, would be appropriate. This is just not in character with our neighborhood. Looking at the plan, it looks like you're clear cutting and blasting from border to border. I don't know what the restoration plan is going to be, the lights, the noise, but the impact on the existing neighborhood and the people that have made this their home, it seems like it's not considered when these developments get put in place. I have nothing more to add other than I think that this is it's just not appropriate use of this land, and the impact on the existing residents of Armstrong, Partridge, and Daybreak needs to be seriously considered. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Norton. Ms. Castro, is there someone else?
Next will be George Friend. being switched over now.
As we get further down to our speakers from the public, I would ask that you do remember that one of the guidelines at the public hearing is please do not focus on repeating information that's already been presented. Thank you.
Hi, my name is George Friend, Friend, 2 Daybreak Lane. So as not to repeat everything that's been said already, I agree with practically everything that's been said. I want to bring up a couple of points that have not been really addressed. Number one is the planning in the PDD regulations are very specific about being in a special development area and being, abutting a non-residential area. The UI does not count as a non-residential use. You can't really put a substation far away from the high voltage lines. So that makes no sense. Number two, all the homes on Daybreak Lane and Partridge Lane, which are in the vicinity, are serviced by well water. And creating all that impervious surface area will reduce the amount of water available, to replenish the natural aquifer. So I know we've already had people in this neighborhood have their wells go dry, and this is just going to make it worse. In addition to the runoff, this is the flip side of the equation where you're actually going to reduce the amount of water in the aquifer. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Friend. Ms. Castro, you have another person?
There were two that lowered their hand if they want to come back, but right now I have Mr. Harbinson with an additional comment.
Okay, before I acknowledge Mr. Harbinson, if there's anyone from the public participating by Zoom and you would like to address the commission, please use Zoom's raise your hand feature at this time. If you're participating through phone, please dial *9. So Ms. Castro, has there been any activity?
Yes, currently Mr. Harbinson is on.
That's all? Nobody else has raised their hand or dialed *9?
There is another person on.
Okay, then we'll take that person first since Mr. Harbinson's already addressed the commission. And then we will catch up to Mr. Harbinson if there's someone else. Okay, so who's the newcomer?
Lenny.
Is he elevated?
Coming in now.
Okay.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, go ahead and identify yourself for the record.
It's not Lenny, this is his wife, Chris Petroselli.
Okay, and could you spell your last name?
30, Petroselli is Petrocelli. And I live at 30 Daybreak Lane.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm confused about, I believe Mr. Thomas talked about the joining up to Partridge Lane, perhaps being gated, I think I heard him say, and for use for emergency vehicles. Now, I'm not positive I heard that correctly, so I apologize if I'm wrong, but I suppose perhaps a police car, or maybe an ambulance would be able to navigate coming down Daybreak, making a left on Partridge to go through this gated pathway for an emergency, but a fire truck, any kind of fire equipment would, I think, find it much easier to just continue on Old Stratford, come to the stop sign at Armstrong and make a right. So I'm still a little confused as to the purpose of this pathway. I don't really think it's necessary. I'm sure the people who drive fire trucks would agree it's not worth coming down Daybreak to get to this development. And that's all I wanted to say about that.
Okay, thank you very much, Mrs. Petroselli. Ms. Castro, anybody else before Mr. Harbinson?
Yes, I have a Rick who's being promoted now.
Okay.
Try it again. Rick, I see your hand raised, but if you want to speak, you have to accept the panelist invitation. Joining now.
Okay.
Oh.
Good evening, sir. Please identify yourself for the record and your address.
Richard DiBiase, 28 Partridge Lane.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I'm just curious the fact that nothing was mentioned about my property, how it's going to be like within 20 feet of where you want to put one of your buildings, or the impact that it's going to have on our privacy, and not to mention the damage that's going to be done to my well and my foundation. And as far as what type of buffer do you plan on putting up there? You're going to need something the size of the southern border to cover what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
You take it, I mean, I'm going to drive up my driveway at night. Instead of seeing beautiful woods that I've been looking at for the last 31 years, I'm going to see vinyl siding.
Coming in and out.
Okay.
Do you have two computers going on at the same time?
Yes.
You'll have to mute
That's
one.
why it's echoing.
Sorry about that. Oh, I understand why my property was not mentioned, other than the fact that a corner of my shed is on their property. That's the only thing that was mentioned about my property.
Okay, anything else, Mr. DiBiase?
Yeah, just a moment. My wife would like to speak to you.
Okay, please identify yourself for the record.
Francine DiBiase, 28 Partridge Lane.
I'm sorry, ma'am, I didn't catch your first name.
Francine?
Christine, okay.
No, Francine.
Oh, Francine, okay, thank you, go ahead.
Just wanted to say that I agree with everything that Mrs. Steiner said. Also, I can state many things, but some of them have already been stated and already been said. But I do have a few questions. How high will the townhouses be? Besides 2 or 3 stories, how many feet?
Mm-hmm.
As far as the snow removal, that paper road that is there, the town will not plow that area. They do not plow for us, and because it's not theirs or it's not a real road, they will not plow it. So I don't know why they would plow for this complex and not plow for us. And
Okay,
so if there's an emergency driveway and emergency vehicles are going up there, it will not be plowed.
Mm-hmm.
Will my well and blasting be protected? My foundation be protected from blasting or damage? How will you protect me?
Mm-hmm.
Is the emergency driveway guaranteed, or will it be opened up at some point?
Would you repeat that last statement? Is there any, what?
The emergency driveway, is it guaranteed, or will it open up at some point?
Okay.
The plants, they're only 2 to 4 feet. 2 to 4 feet are like half of my size.
Okay, ma'am, are you still there? Ms. Castro, did we lose the connection?
No, they're still on.
Okay. Do you have anything else to comment on? Okay, I don't know what happened to the connection, but the audio is definitely not there. So, Ms. Castro, just keep an eye on it. Is there anybody else before we go to Mr. Harbinson?
Yes, there is a Greg.
Okay. Okay, person whose name is Greg, please identify yourself for the record. Have they been elevated?
Yes, yep, transferring in now.
Can you send a message to the previous couple?
We'll try.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can, sir. Go ahead and identify yourself.
Okay. Hi, my name is Greg Resillo, Wresilo. I have a small shop located to the right of the property. It's been grandfathered since 1946. I guess my concern is, I sit in a hole that's mostly, it's rock that was blasted out over years and it has a small business. It really doesn't belong in a residential area. I've been there for years, before planning and zoning existed. But I guess my concern is, number one, I sit very down flush with the road. I think the 40-foot height is a little excessive considering that you have a 15-foot setback on the sidelines. It makes it a little more prominent to look up from the road because by the time you get to where the flush part of the hill is, where the unit will be close to the road, it's like looking up almost 24 feet plus with 40 on it would be looking up at like 65 feet. That's not my major concern. Major concern is really will be there. Like they talked about this collecting pond, and I feel, there'll be a lot of water in there. And with the blasting, I don't know if they're going to have a fabric membrane in there or a membrane that will stop it from undermining the ledge that was blasted. My concern is a little more water with that. Other than that, I feel bad for the neighbors. I just have a small parcel, so I feel a little bit more sympathy for them because it is a little overwhelming, I think. So other than that, I thank you for, and I pass. Thank you.
Mr. Rosillo, what's the address of the business?
122 Armstrong Road.
Very good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Who's next, Ms. Castro?
I'm adding back in Fran.
Oh, okay, good. Okay, is she on mute or?
Connecting.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead. We're sorry that we lost the connection somehow. So continue on.
All right, I was almost finished. Pretty much, I was talking about the children. If there's any accommodations made for them, there is no sidewalks, no school bus stops, no place for them to play, being that they're not going to be in a green area. And then concern for my property value. We are the only ones that are directly affected, along with Mr. Maldonado across from us, who was not able to be here. And that's pretty much it for now. So thank you.
Very good. Thank you so much. And who's next?
This person is Robin.
Hi, my name is Robin Friend. I own 3 properties in this area, 2 Daybreak Lane, 34 Daybreak Lane, and 79 Old Stratford. I am extremely concerned about the devastation to the woods. We have no open space in this area. The reason we bought 79 Old Stratford Road is to keep some nature in this area, and to lose the 2 acres of woods behind this house would be devastating to the neighborhood and to the wildlife, which has to be taken into consideration. I'm also concerned about the water flow coming down the hill into the culvert that runs through our front yard, which overflows, which we've had to repair several times because the city will not hold up to their responsibility to do it. But that's it. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Ms. Friend. Who's next?
I have no one raising their hand. We can go back to Mr. Harbinson.
Okay, if there is no one else that is indicating they'd like to address the commission, Mr. Harbinson, go ahead. You have the floor.
Thank you very much for the second opportunity. Something came about that I didn't realize when I first commented. I looked at the Google Drive area on the city's website for the documents. I didn't see any commentary from the city of Stratford. I was wondering if this is in such close proximity to the municipal border, does the town of Stratford have to be notified? And if so, what response they may have had? Especially because there's some water resources that are in the town of Stratford that may be impacted by this. And the second item, I just wanted to clarify my first comment regarding the PDD usage for this area. It is entirely a residential zone. It is entirely encompassed by residential zones. And I use the word zones explicitly, not the word areas. And in that regard, it's something that I was looking for a response from our town planner consultant who wrote the PDD regulations. I am not looking for an answer from the applicant. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Robinson. Anybody else, Ms. Castro?
No.
Okay, last call. If there's anybody from the public that wants to comment to the commission, please use Zoom's raise your hand feature or dial *9 on your phone. Okay, hearing none. Attorney Thomas, do you want to respond at this time?
Muted.
Oh,
He's muted, yeah.
yeah, he's
I'm sorry, I can do a few responses. Again,
Okay.
Mr. Harbison wasn't interested in hearing from me, but I think I explained at the beginning before he came on about the issue with respect to 34.1 and the issue, you know, certainly the UI property is categorized as a R1, but its use is certainly not residential, not with the high tension wires and the substation. And in addition to that, we're actually, and I didn't bring it up, but I think it was Mr. Rosilio. He had actually contacted me at one point after the notices went out, and I wasn't aware that he really operates this. It's a pre-existing business. He operates it next door. The language, and you've seen my positions, you've seen it before on other applications, and the language in 34.1 after the special development area is there is a second purpose, and it is when it is in a transitional area. In this case, in addition to that, you already had several years ago a cluster single family development, but you had a cluster development that is not in accordance with R1 that was done in accordance, I believe, with a plan was a planned development district in the area. And at that point, a commission made the determination that it was appropriate. As far as whether or not there's going to be blasting and the issue of drainage, I don't know. I assume Jason is still on, and I don't know if he can address those matters. But before I turn it over to Jason, if this commission is going to seek a legal opinion from counsel or whomever on the issue of whether it qualifies, I would hope that it would do it promptly so that my client could be aware of whether or not a decision is going to come down that it's not eligible for a PDD. If that, then my client will have to make his decision on what to do with the property accordingly as to what is available to him. Is Jason, are you on to address any of the
I'm on.
issues? Yes.
I mean, I can speak.
I do want to mention one other thing, and I think there was a misunderstanding. The gated emergency access is not for the emergency vehicles to do it. It's only for the emergency vehicles to use it if they did not have access off of Armstrong Road. But also, I want to stress that we put it in as a precaution that, in fact, if the fire marshal doesn't require it, we wouldn't be doing it. Jason?
Yes, Jason Edwards for the record. I just want to share my screen if I can. Just to, someone had made a comment or responded to my description of this area as a swamp. I apologize if that was not appropriate, but to me, it looks like a large swamp here. This is directly across the street from the property. Well, I understand there is a cranberry pond here, so, but this is what I was referring to as the swamp. Regarding the stormwater and the drainage, as I already said, we did design everything in accordance with the Connecticut Department of Environmental Protection's guidelines. It will be reviewed by the city engineer, I imagine. If he has any comments, we'll respond to those. We'll also, I believe one of the commissioners had a comment on the volume of runoff that's coming off the site, so we'll confirm those numbers, and make sure they're in the report. Regarding blasting, I do imagine there will be blasting on the site. I don't think it will be a significant amount, but there will be some. And any of that would be done under the regulations of the town. So I believe they're regulated by the fire marshal generally. So they'd be done in accordance with the fire marshal regulations and any state regulations.
Mr. Edwards?
Yes.
There hasn't been any work towards doing test pits or anything like that.
Yeah, no, we did test pits for the drainage system. So we did, have some sense of how deep the ledge is, and there is ledge there. So, but there's just really no way to know for sure on the quantity until you do a full geotechnical assessment. That has not been done yet.
Okay, thank you.
I don't think I had anything else to answer at this time, but we will get back to you all with some additional information on the drainage. Thank you.
Thank you. Attorney Thomas?
No, at this point, I assume based on the comments and everything and the requested information that the public hearing will be kept open. But like I said, if you are going to seek or make a determination on the ability of compliance with 34.1, we would like that as soon as possible, so that my client can guide himself accordingly before we make any change or do any additional plans.
Well, as we've done in the past for project on River Road, we asked Corporation Counsel to weigh in on this. So I will ask staff to bring this to his attention for his determination, please. Mr. Pianico, do you have any comments before we move on?
No, nothing other than what we've already discussed.
Okay, so Mr. Attorney Thomas, if you don't have any further questions, comments, I will ask the commission for a motion to continue the public hearing.
I'll make the motion, Commissioner Maddow.
I'll second it, Commissioner Kelly.
Okay, so on the motion to continue the public hearing for application 2328, Commissioner Laskos,
Aye.
Commissioner Dickey,
Aye.
Commissioner Kelly,
Aye.
Commissioner Amato,
Aye.
Commissioner Parkins,
Aye.
and chair votes aye. Motion is passed by a vote of 6-0. And this continuation of the public hearing will be on the agenda of an upcoming meeting. Okay, and Commissioner Parkins, are you?
I'm going to sign off now.
Okay.
I have another commitment, so if you could seat Robert Cristiano.
Yep. Okay, so it's 7:37 and Commissioner Parkins is leaving the meeting, and the alternate Commissioner Cristiano, you are being seated in her place.
Thank you. Good night, all.
Good night.
Happy birthday again.
Okay, so Commissioner Cristiano, could you just acknowledge that you understand that you're seated?
So acknowledged.
Thank you so much. Okay, the next public hearing is for application 2329, Dominic Thomas for 6 Todd Road LLC. Commissioner Amato, would you please read the notice of the public hearing?
Sure. Initiation of application 24-01 PDD number 107, Dominic Thomas for B-Wiz LLC at 0 and 435 River Road. Assessors.
No, that's Tucker one.
Commissioner Amato, I think it's the one for 20.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Oops. All right. Well, all right. I'll start over. Yeah. Initiation of application 22-29 PDD number 100, Dominic Thomas for 6 Todd Road LLC at 6 Todd Road, Assessors Map 77, Lot 25, for a major modification to a PDD amendment to Statement of Uses and Standards and the what's that? IDCP, the initial development concept plan and final site development plans, modifying from a 10,170 square foot retail building to a 3,690 square foot restaurant with drive-through. Plans entitled, quote, amended initial development concept plans and final site development plans, PDD number 100, Shelton McDonald's Restaurant, 6 Todd Road, Shelton, Connecticut, end quote, prepared by SLR, are on file in the Planning and Zoning Office. This property is generally bound as follows: northerly by 376 Bridgeport Avenue, easterly by 84 Platte Road, southerly by 20 Todd Road, and westerly by 380 Bridgeport Avenue.
Thank you, Commissioner Amato. Just a correction for the record, the legal notice, as far as I could tell, does not have the right application number. It is 2329. This application was accepted for review on December 20th, 2023. Documents posted for review on the city's website include an amended application for a PDD zone change and initial development concept plans, site plans, photometric plan, architectural elevation and floor plan, traffic study narrative, roadway and traffic improvements, stormwater drainage report, signposting photos, and certificates of mailing. Ms. Castro, was any correspondence received within the time period for this proposal, but not yet posted to the city's website, that we need to acknowledge for the record?
No.
Okay. All right, Attorney Thomas, please identify yourself for the record and proceed.
Thank you, Attorney Dominic Thomas Cohen and Thomas, 315 Main Street, Dover, Connecticut, representing the applicant. As noted appropriately, the notices and the signposting photos were uploaded. Also today, and really what was uploaded by me was a colored site plan, which Todd Ritchie, the engineer, will address later. What I'd like to do is start with sharing screen, and I want to refresh your memory as to what PDD 100 was opposed as. So this is the approved site development plans for PDD 100 from back in 2021 when it was finally approved. And just a minute, let me try to get to the what was approved, and I want to try to get to the site plan. Basically, what was approved is this site plan with a 10,000 plus square foot building with an entrance off of Todd Road and an entrance and exit onto Platte Road. So this is the site plan of what was approved and what is the existing PDD 100. The existing yes, this is the existing colored site plan as to what was approved back then, and this is the architecture that the commission approved back then, the architectural elevations of a 10,000 square foot building. At this point, we are proposing a 3,690 square foot McDonald's drive-through restaurant, and as you will see in the presentation, we have followed basically exact footprint and site plan layout as was approved, except that you have a much smaller building on the site. Engineering will address that. In addition to that, it did not appear in your PDD 100 approval that there were any truly significant traffic changes that would address the intersection of Platte Road and Bridgeport Avenue. In this case, there will be, as you will hear in this presentation, substantial improvements to the intersection of Platte Road and Bridgeport Avenue, and in some sense, although I'm not going to play traffic engineer, it will mirror what is across the street in Nels Rock Road. And so with that, I'd like to start the presentation by going to Todd Ritchie of SLR, who is the site engineer on this project.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Todd Ritchie. I'm a licensed professional engineer with SLR out of our office at 99 Realty Drive in Cheshire, Connecticut. My last name is, well, my first name's spelled the same as Todd Road here, and my last name's spelled Ritchie. I'm going to share my screen and walk you through the site plan. If I may just confirm that you can see my screen. Everybody see?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes.
Just want to check. So this is, as Attorney Thomas mentioned, the site is located at the intersection of Todd Road and Platt Road. The site is just over 1 acre. This is the current condition of the site. It's a former demolished site with remnants of concrete and asphalt and some vegetation. So this is sort of like the overview of the vicinity of the site. And then this is the site plan rendering of what's proposed for the McDonald's restaurant on the property. Again, this is consistent with let me just go back real quick. What I forgot to mention is that the existing accesses to the site are at the southwest corner and the northeast corner as it stands today. And those accesses will remain. And it's consistent with the previous approval for the property under the retail approval. So you'll have access to Todd Road off of this entrance, which is 2 ways. And then you'll have access to Platt Road similarly with a 2-way left and right dedicated turning lanes to Platt Road. The site overall is less impervious cover than exists now. So we didn't need to include any stormwater detention for the site under this scenario. Previously, under the retail scenario, there was more impervious. The building was larger and the asphalt was expanded more. So there was a somewhat limited underground stormwater retention system or detention system. And in this case, we just have a collection system, but we are providing stormwater quality treatment through a hydrodynamic separator. And that stormwater I can show you on the site plans, but that stormwater will be collected throughout the site and will discharge at the same location towards the city storm drainage in Platt Road, similar to the previous approval as well. Utilities will all come off of Platt Road for water and sewer. Sewer also consists of installing a domestic sewage connection to the building, as well as an underground grease trap as required. The layout of the parking lot is 37 parking stalls, angled parking, and which meets requirements. And there's 2 lanes for the drive-up ordering station, and then you have the payment window and 2 service windows, and the 2 lanes merge, as you are probably familiar with at most modern fast food type facilities. I guess the trash enclosure, a similar location as previously approved here, double dumpster location enclosure with doors and a manway off the side, and lighting throughout at these locations. As you can see here, it's the light locations of light poles. There's some dedicated parking for handicap accessible up in the front as required by ADA, and also a couple of spaces for their ordering pickup dedicated. I think that's kind of the overview here. If you have any questions off the bat, we do have landscaping as shown throughout as well. I can pop over to the site plans. This is the utility plan. As I mentioned, this is the stormwater drainage here and here collecting from the driveways and the parking areas. And this is the hydrodynamic separator, the treatment unit that is placed here prior to discharge to the city drainage system. And then these are the locations of the services coming to the building from Platt Road for the water and sanitary. I can, this is a S&E control plan, sediment erosion control plan. We have construction, stabilized construction entrances, perimeter, silt barriers, controlled stockpile locations, and inlet protections on all the installed catch basins and drain inlets until they're the whole site is stabilized. And then I can just go back to the landscaping plan as it's and show you the plant schedule as well. You can zoom in on that. I'm not a landscape architect, so I'll let the folks that are familiar verify and are in compliance.
No, yeah, butterfly bush, no. I don't know, I don't have the answers on all these. Let's see, Rebecca. Yeah, well, the only thing that's jumping out at me is that butterfly bush. I'm not sure about the hydrangea. So we'd have to go over that, but
Sure, we can certainly make
I'm not sure about the spirea either. That
make
doesn't sound
changes.
right.
Yeah, we can make changes to that. I can relay that
For the
information.
fountain
or-
grass. Yeah.
I mean, we could have a, you know, it could be a condition of approval that we revisit this and that we meet, you know.
Well, it
provide
is a
substitutes.
requirement. It's a requirement. So.
Yeah, sure. No, I know that. So I just want to make sure that we can work through that and come to an agreement. So
Can you
this, sure.
Do you have other sheets that you want to show?
No, I mean, it's pretty much open.
Okay, for that first one that is colored.
Sure.
You have that loop that goes past the outdoor ordering stations.
Right here.
Yeah. So you have an exit onto Todd Road. Do you really want to have people have to drive around that loop to get down there? And then if they want to go to Platt Road to go out that exit, you know, because you have people are approaching Platt Road from two different directions, from Todd Road and then from Platt Road. Is that going to ease queuing, or is it going to create a problem with people from Todd Road going down to Platt Road and not being able to take a left or something? I just want to make sure the traffic pattern is clear.
I'm gonna defer that conversation to our traffic engineer, Dave Sullivan. He's gonna speak as far as that goes. So he did do the detailed study on this, and he can.
Pretty obvious that you have to circulate around the building, right?
Oh yeah, I mean the circulation is certainly, it's having the two options is going to, you know, spread out the exiting of the vehicles. So I mean, most, you know, the vehicles that are going through the drive up and also that are parking along this side of the building are certainly going to be, this is one way, so we're going to be going out this direction. And then the other
Or
option
they're
is
going to be going around the front of the building and getting into the drive-up lane.
well, I mean, there is the option of coming in. Not everybody's going to go in the drive-up lane, but there is the option of, I mean, most people are going to go the shortest distance to get in the drive-up lane. So there is the option of coming in this way, and they could certainly go around. We wouldn't want this to be just one way.
That's providing you don't stack up around the corner of the building.
Exactly.
Isn't that going to have some impact, although will I state that, about the distribution of access and egress to the site? I mean, this suggests you got a nice entrance from Todd Road, but in effect, it's not going to be a very effective one for those that are heading to the drive-up window.
Well, I mean, it effective is it's just relative. If people know that that's going to be a longer route, then yeah, that's not going to be effective. But again, if you're at this intersection here, are you going to take a right and go there, or are you going to take the nearest entrance, which is right here?
Yeah, I would think that you would need to have some very clear signage. So,
Yeah, it is usually, McDonald's is the type of place that people go there and it's a destination for them. There are people that, yes, they would need to know, but I think if they're coming up Platte Road, the indication is that they are going to continue up Platte Road. I don't think once you get up there, you'll see the entrance very clearly.
Yep.
And it's right across from the, it's easy view of that. There's nothing blocking it.
And human nature is to be drawn to the front of a building, or not the rear. So
well, you have people who are heading north on Bridgeport Avenue. They take a right on Todd Road. They go past the businesses that are there. They're going to be approaching where that pink car is pulling up the driveway from Todd Road. So if they'll have a distance to go around the building if they want to go in the drive-through lane. So
on the previous plan, when you came in from Todd Road, you could pull directly in front of the building. You weren't confined to a one-way pattern on the front parking area, or the parking area that parallels Todd Road. Now it's a one-way pattern.
Yeah, it has to be because of the drive-throughs.
Yes, I realize that.
Right.
Yeah.
this is no different than any typical McDonald's pattern.
Set up. Yeah.
We realize that. Okay.
Yes and no.
Attorney Thomas, is there somebody that was going to comment about the road improvements in the area at this
Yes,
time?
that's going to be as part of it, part of the presentation.
Okay.
That's going to be Dave Sullivan when we get to that.
Okay. All right. Any commissioners have any questions for Mr. Ritchie? Mr. Panico, do you have any questions?
Well, I want to hear what the traffic engineer says about it, but it would seem to me that maybe there's a way, and I don't know, I haven't looked at the grading plan, but maybe there's a way that the connection to Todd Road ought to come directly off of that other parking lot as well, so that traffic could exit there rather than being forced out to Platte Road. Whether that makes any sense or not, and I don't know
I don't know why you'd want to make, I'll leave it up to Dave Sullivan, but I don't know why you'd want to make Todd Road more attractive. Once you see the improvements that are going to be done to the intersection. I think that's the way you want to direct the traffic, but yet you want to have the ability for people to go in and out of Todd Road, just as the chairman said that there will be some who will enter the north end of Todd Road.
Ready to prove that you can handle the traffic.
Yeah, I think since there's an interest in the traffic, instead of going, well, maybe we will go at this point, if you're done with asking any questions on the engineering, I think at this point, then we'll go to Dave Sullivan to review the traffic report and the improvements.
Okay.
Thank you, Dominic. Dave Sullivan from SLR, professional engineer, manage the traffic transportation planning group here at SLR. May I share my screen? I have a very short presentation. I'll get into the details at the end. But the first slide here is just in general what the scope of our traffic study was. And it's no different than many of the studies we've done for the city. We review the existing conditions, then we estimate the conditions in the future with and without the development coming to fruition. We review access, we review sight lines, then we do our capacity analyses, which is the levels of service A through F, and determine what the traffic impact is, and then we come up with our recommendations and improvements. In short, The table up there is the amount of traffic that we anticipate being generated during the peak hours. We looked at the afternoon peak hour, and we looked at the that should be Saturday peak hour. I apologize there. We looked at the PM peak and the Saturday midday peak, not the AM and PM. I apologize for that. But as you can see, we're generating 120 trips during the afternoon commuter peak hour and about 200 during the Saturday lunchtime peak hour. Many of those trips will be diverted off of Bridgeport Avenue, not quite fully bypassed because they do have to go a block out of their way. But they're in any case not new trips to and from on Bridgeport Avenue. They're what we call the pass-by trips. Our findings in general is that we identified that there's some operational characteristics, poor operational characteristics, particularly the westbound maneuver coming off Platte Road and in the afternoon peak hour, in particular, the right turn onto Bridgeport Avenue is now combined with the through traffic. So we went into a mode of trying to come up with a road improvement that would rationalize that and improve that. We did do that, and I'll show that to you in a second. Once we did the widening and reanalyzed everything, our key findings was that we could end up with overall improvements in the level of service. So we're not just mitigating the traffic, we're improving conditions at the traffic light from C to B during the weekend PM peak hour overall. And the northbound and southbound movements, which are the two movements on Bridgeport Avenue, would also improve. On Saturday, we can improve the level of service by a full level. And more importantly, this all comes with the benefit of improving the westbound queue on Platte Road, where it would be reduced during the peak hours to 100 feet or so. So
can I just interrupt you for a minute? On the chart that you have on the screen, site generated vehicular trips, which were the areas that you said that were not correct? You were referring to some other time frame?
The titles of it says weekday AM.
The cursor that you could circle where you're referring to? Okay.
Weekday AM peak hour. That should be weekday PM, and this should be Saturday.
Okay.
So when the table was pulled into the PowerPoint, they pulled the wrong table in.
Okay. Is that the only page that had to be noted that way?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I would appreciate if this could be resubmitted with the correct headings.
Certainly.
Okay. Go ahead. Thank you.
Sure. So I'll go to the last here, which I'll start with the offsite improvements. And as you can, are you seeing my cursor here?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So we have numbered the improvements so that we can follow them a little bit. The first one is to realign the eastbound approach, and we have 3 lanes there today, and we're adding a 3rd lane on Todd Road approaching that signal so that we can get a dedicated right turn lane. And that caused us to have to change the angle ever so slightly here so that the left turns and the through traffic could function together. So in other words, if you're coming straight through in the westbound direction, you don't want to be bumping into the left turn lane in the opposite direction. So we changed.
Are you saying that you would go across the street to that where the number 1 green circle is, and you would make some pavement adjustments there?
Some very minor adjustments to the angle of this approach. So
is that meaning you're going to be excavating, or is it just repainting lines?
It's repainting.
Okay.
On this approach, it's largely repainting. There might be a tiny bit of curb work right through here, but that would be minor and would not be considered, I wouldn't consider it necessarily a widening.
Is that within the state right away? If there's anything along the curb?
This here is not within the state right away. When it crosses over from about this point, it is in state right away. This whole improvement will need to be approved through the DOT. We'll need an encroachment permit, and we'll need to get all our design drawings, including a revised signal plan, all approved by DOT.
And has the property owner of the marketplace been contacted about this potential? Some kind of excavation on his property then?
There's nothing on his property. This is all, and it's not excavation. If anything, this is cleaning the curb line up here.
Okay.
Waivers a little bit. So there's no excavation there, and it's all within the town right away or state right away anyway.
Okay, so the curbing perhaps maybe moved a little bit?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Okay. The second thing is in fact where there is widening that we're pointing out. So there's widening on the north side of Platte Road here. In this, where you see these twos, between the twos, and then we tie it back in to the driveway here at about the existing width. So the widening is about from that driveway to the corner. We're also doing a little bit of widening right on the edge of the state's property right here, where I'm pointing. And that's just to clean up this alignment, give us a little extra width here so that we can get a third lane in here. And over here, we had to just trim this back a little bit. And again, this gets back to the realignment here. We want to have this be a nice clean shot straight through here. And then the other minor widening will be as part of the site work along here.
Okay, on number 3, where the green circle is,
yeah,
you've got a white line there to stop the traffic. Does that mean the signalization would not be right turn on red because you don't have the visibility to see people coming down Bridgeport Avenue?
No, you do, and this would function pretty much as it does. But what's good about having a dedicated right turn lane is you're adding another phase for this right turn. So this right turn will be able to go when the signal faces facing them are green for the whole approach, but also when the left turns on Bridgeport Avenue are going, we call them the protected left turns. We also will give an arrow to the right turn so they can go at the same time as the left turns. So we're greatly increasing the capacity of the signal for the right turns, and the reliance on right turn on red would be much less.
So, but like on a slow day where there's not a lot of traffic, somebody's in the right turn, they want to head north, they would be able to do so without the signal telling them to do so?
Correct. Right.
Okay. And they do have the sight line to see people coming down Bridgeport Avenue?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so that kind of jumps ahead to number 3. So I just described that. Widen Todd Road to provide the bypass area. So we're doing a slight widening here on the west side of Todd Road for this driveway, so that if folks are opting to use this driveway, they'll be bypassed. It's a little bit of a luxury, but we had the opportunity to do it with the new construction establishing the new curb line here. So we decided let's do that now, and add the couple or so extra feet to Todd Road. So,
how many feet beyond the Todd Road entrance are you proposing to improve for road improvements?
How far past it?
Yeah, right where you are. Yeah.
It's I don't have a good scale on this drawing. I can certainly find that out and let you know, but it looks to be around 100 feet or so.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, I have a question.
Sure, Commissioner Cristiano, go ahead.
So, Mr. Sullivan, if we have traffic now coming north on Todd Road up to the intersection of Platt, so not just from traffic from this development, but from the other establishments on Todd Road, if we're coming to the end of Todd Road and want to take a left onto Platt, essentially then wanting to take a right onto Bridgeport Avenue, folks are going to have to cross 3 lanes of traffic. What was your look into that?
Well, it's a condition that's not ideal. It exists today where you have to cross traffic and move over to the right. Moving over to the right is not really a concern. I think our biggest concern is the queues at the signal, and the improvements we're making will make the blockage of Todd Road less. Will it ever get blocked? No, certainly. But that's with the access plan, which I'll talk about in a second. There's much more opportunity to, rather than forcing people out to Todd Road, the site plan is really designed with Platt Road driveway as the main egress from the site.
Mhm.
Hey, can I ask, I have a question.
Go ahead, Commissioner Amato.
So this DOT process for getting this approved, is that lengthy? And is it pretty much your idea that they will approve this? Any chance they won't approve it?
Well, the short answer is I see absolutely no reason why they wouldn't improve it. We're not recommending anything that's particularly different or outrageous or new to them. I think there's a very high likelihood that it'll be approved. Might they have some comments? Absolutely. They may have recommendations on our lane widths, our stop bar locations, our turning radii, things of that nature. They have the ability to comment on. Timing wise, if it was just the widening part of it, it's really not all that long. Once we have the design drawings, which they're largely done already, we get that into the district office, and they would turn them around in a matter of weeks, maybe a month or so. We would have comments, clean them up, and we can get it. The timely item here is the revisions to the traffic light. So we make that submission with our encroachment permit package to the district office, but they don't review traffic signals. So they send them up to their headquarters in Newington, who does all the signal reviews. That takes a while. It's a very slow process. It's always been slow, but it's gotten even more slow since the pandemic. I'm not quite sure why, but it is a longer process, and that could be months. The review of the signal revisions could be as much as 6 months or so after we make the submission. They look at everything. They will look at our electrical design, our structural design. They'll look at the new equipment. They want to make sure we have all the current standards and specifications in the design package. So they give it a real thorough look. And that's typically 2 or 3 passes of comments that don't necessarily affect the big picture, but it's a tedious process. So timing wise, that's really the long lead item.
I just had a comment. Commissioner Cristiano brought up people using Todd Road and having to get to Platt Road. It would just not necessarily be for people who are patronizing the McDonald's, but there are businesses further north on that road, here and the automotive. tire place and the homeless shelter. So there is more traffic that could potentially head down Todd Road.
Yeah, yeah, totally understand. And what they're feeling today, what their condition is today, at the very worst, it'll be the same. But it'll likely be somewhat improved because they won't run into the queue blockage as often because of the improvements. Maybe it's a good time I could just talk about our philosophy a little bit on the access, because a lot of what we're discussing here today, we've had all these discussions in our shop here and have talked about it. We thought it was important to have that access so that folks coming from the south, as you mentioned, from Professional Tire or the other business along there, that they don't have to go out to Todd Road and circle around to enter if they wanted to come to McDonald's. And then we said, well, maybe we could limit it to right turn in and left turn out. And the geometry of a driveway for a right in, left out is very unique and it's very hard to enforce. And we had to get very strange geometry. And we said, well, there's really nothing wrong with the left turn, and let's just do the bypass so they're not getting in the way of anybody. And then we had all these maneuvers, and we said it's really not a convenience for folks to come out of McDonald's and take a right, because if they know the area, they're just going to circle around if they're parked and go out Platte Road. But if they want to come out to Todd Road, why don't we let them? There's only a handful that may do that. As we started looking at it, most of the customers are drive-through customers. Those will almost exclusively go out onto Platte Road. The only ones that would go to Todd Road and circle the building after picking up their food would probably be people that want to go south on Todd Road. Everybody else on the drive-through will come out on Platte Road. If you're parked,
Why the extra lane then?
Why the extra lane where?
On Todd Road.
Again, we put it there because we could. If there's other development down the road, Todd Road gets more of more activity, and people find that they want to come in that way. It was a conscious decision to either design to try to prohibit it or design to put it in.
Isn't any congestion at that intersection as a result of the reconfiguration of the lanes? Is that going to encourage some of the other traffic on Todd Road to go south instead of north then?
The congestion at the Bridgeport Avenue Platte Road intersection will be less.
Will be less. But how about the ability to get onto Platte Road?
Well, the queuing on Platte Road will be less than it is today. However, Todd Road is very close, so there's still going to be some blockage as there is today, but to a lesser extent.
How much of the traffic from your proposal is expected to go out Todd Road?
We put 5% left,
5%?
5% south, and 5% north. It may be less. That's the minimum that we would put. We don't see this as a particularly important access way, other than it gives the flexibility to the people from the south, and we saw no harm in making it full access for those few people that may opt to use it for one reason or another.
Okay, anything else, Mr. Sullivan?
I think that's it, unless there's specific questions.
I'm not sure if you can answer the question or someone else on the team, but on the map where number 2 is, that is a visual of the state property that had been leased by a local car dealer, and it hasn't for a while. I was under the impression that there was going to be some improvements done to that property. Is that no longer the case?
I'll let Doug, deal with
yeah.
that.
That is, that property is, under the, under the lease with the car dealers, which was a, what they call a bid lease, because there are no, abutters. It hasn't been used. We are in conversation with both, district and, rights of way, concerning the improvements that will be made there. They do have the right, to terminate the lease at any point, and they have the right, I'm not sure, Dave, maybe you can answer that. I mean, some of the widening, is that going to encroach into their parking lot or whatever?
It may get close, depending on what the final dimension that it's approved by DOT. When we
Right, but DOT will approve it, and DOT has the right. I will relate to you, one of the conversations that I had early on was with rights of way, and the response was, the request was made of me to ask rights of way if they would sell that property to anybody, and the response was absolutely not. We would not sell it. The lease is a type of lease that they can terminate very quickly, because as the statement was made to me, they recognize that area of Bridgeport Avenue and that intersection is in need of widening. And therefore, they're not going to give it up unless it's being used for widening or for road improvements, number one. Number two, as far as whether or not the state would approve it, I'm sure SLR will have the most technically proficient plans. I've often found the biggest thing that indicates the state will approve it is when the state gets the developer to pay for the work instead of the state having to pay for the work. And that's what the case is here. These improvements are going to be done by the developer, and they do mirror what the state approved. Obviously, as Dave explained, they do mirror what the state approved on Nellis Rock Road. And if for those commissioners that were on it when we did the marketplace and the complaints about the traffic problem on Nellis Rock, as soon as those lanes were all opened up, the traffic problem disappeared. And I think here, that if you're coming out Todd Road, you're going to have a problem. If you're coming out Todd Road at 3:30 in the afternoon on a work day, when Sikorsky's lets out, that's when the backup comes. And it's the equivalent. Right now, you've got, a bottle full of water, and you only got one or maybe two ways to drain the water out. Now you're going to have 3 ways to drain it out, and that backlog at 3:30 is going to disappear and dissipate a lot faster. So I think it will all be helpful. Are there any other questions for the traffic end of it?
Nope. Go ahead, Attorney Thomas. Who's next?
I'm trying to see who's on. Just one second, as a participants, and as panelists is Leanne, was Leanne Cole admitted, or I don't know whether she or Colleen Hazelton are on to be able to discuss the architectural elevations that were submitted.
Before we get to that, could we just ask Dave to clarify the circulation on site as you go on? Is Dave still there?
Oh, he's there.
He's still
here. Can you just give a quick description of what you anticipate the on-site circulation to be?
Sure. Let me pull this up again. Okay, so the on-site circulation, the vast majority will come in this driveway, whether it's a right or a left. Everybody has to go in the counterclockwise direction. So if you're parking, you have an opportunity to park right here or along this side. If you're going to the drive-through, you would come through here, place your order, and
how much queuing do you have? Are you able to tolerate?
The queuing, I have a drawing. now.
Drive-up window queuing I'm talking about.
Right, so you have significant amount because you have, before the order board, you have, enough for 4 to 6 vehicles for the order boards and still be able to back out. And then between the order board and the pickup window, you have, at least half a dozen or better, spaces, and you have 2 potential order boards. So if they had to increase the service rate, they could do that as well.
Problem is usually on up to the menu window, right?
Right, and that's why with the double order board, because the service rate is only as efficient as the slowest process. And the slowest process is usually ordering. So usually if there was one window, and it takes somebody, I'm using hypothetical numbers, but if it takes you a minute to order, and there's only one window, the fastest you could process cars are 1 a minute. Even if it's only taking you 30 seconds to pick up your food, if you could double the rate of orders, and now it's 2 cars every minute, and you're still able to get them their food in 30 seconds at the pickup window, you've essentially doubled the rate of vehicles you can serve. So it's all about the service rate and the arrival rate. And the arrival rate is essentially fixed because people are going when they're hungry. It's the service rate, and having 2 pay windows or 1 pay window, 2 pickup windows, and 2 order boards is about as efficient as you can get for a drive-through operation.
I don't know if Attorney Thomas could answer that or Mr. Sullivan, but was there any consideration about positioning a building 90 degrees turn so that the front entrance is facing Todd Road, not Platt Road, and the drive-through windows are now on the side facing the abutting property owner?
Well, I'll just say this is a very this is a prototype McDonald's and circulation pattern, and it fits into the shape of the land. So I'm not sure that there was much, if any, discussion about turning the building 90 degrees. And if we had the pickup windows in a different location, the pickup windows are in a perfect location for exiting onto Platt Road. You're maximizing the amount of site that you could use for pickup and drop or food pickup storage or for the drive-through storage. So the way it lays out, there's really nothing that jumps out to say, let's look at something different.
That's fine. I just wanted to bring it up.
Now, to finish the circulation, again, on the exiting, the vast majority or the majority are in the drive-through and will exit right out here. Those that park to walk in, if they're exiting onto Platt Road, there's a large bypass area here. Wouldn't even call it a bypass, it's a main circulation road out to Platt Road. And of course, we've discussed they have the ability to make this this reverse turn and go directly out to Todd Road if they want to go south. So that's the circulation.
The only concern I have is having been at different McDonald's over the years, your parking spaces that parallel the pickup windows. Technically, those are ones that for people that would be parking and walking in, there's traffic coming around and you're crossing a traffic lane. And I would just hate to see something happen. In comparison to up the street where Chick-fil-A is, their drive-throughs, you park on one side of the building. You're not parking at both sides of the building. So there's no possibility that someone is going to be parking and walking across a traffic lane.
Yeah, the vast majority of the times, you're not going to have vehicles queued up where parking is on the west side of the building. these things are very, very efficient.
So you think the majority of the park traffic is going to go out to Todd?
No, I think the majority of park traffic is not going to be fighting the drive-through traffic. If you're parking on the west side facing Todd Road, when you get out of your car,
And so if you're parked over there, you think you're going to exit to Todd or you're going to go around the building?
I think you have a choice. I think if you know the area, you're going to go out to Flat Road.
Yeah.
If you've been here before.
So the only time you're really going to get much traffic going out there then is when Flat Road is backed up.
Perhaps, but if you're going out Todd Road because Flat Road's backed up, you're gonna be driving right into the backup anyway.
Yeah, if you want to make a right turn, yeah.
So it's more of a convenience access, and the only ones that really benefits are those going south.
Well, as Mr. Panico started speaking, it occurred to me that where the parking spaces are on both sides of the building, anyone that's parking and walking in, they're going to be, they definitely will can be crossing a traffic lane. So
They certainly could be, but again, no matter whether it was a drive-through or not, if a car is entering a site and the drive-through and you're parking on the perimeter of the site, it's the same thing. So it's not a unique condition. There's almost the exact layout shown here on Route 10 there when my office was in Cheshire. It's almost exactly the same. And I would go there lunch often enough. And first of all, there's never a lot of people parked. Most people are getting in the drive-through, but the service rate of the drive-through is such that you really don't see, other than for moments at a time or a short period of time, backing up from the order boards. The two order boards are functioning.
well, except for the second entrance off of Todd Road, this is really just the same as the McDonald's that's on 34 and on Division Avenue rather, by BJ's, and it's also pretty similar to the one that's on 34 by Big Y. So it's just I hate to see kids, some little kid running across the traffic lane. That's all. Okay, anything else, Mr. Sullivan?
Not for me.
Okay, Mr. Panico, do you have any questions, comments, or concerns before we move on?
I haven't really gone through the entire traffic report. I wanted to hear Dave's presentation first.
Sure.
But I agree with you. It's a little bit concerning. Dave, how many employees on the maximum shift? I'm thinking in terms of how much of this parking is going to be used for employees.
I'm not sure. I'm sure somebody from McDonald's could answer that when they get up, or Dominic may know the answer. But the employees would likely be parked in the least active areas. So
Okay, any commissioners have any questions before we move on? Okay, Mr. Attorney Thomas, who's next?
Well, this commission.
I'm sorry, somebody else.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment about the traffic.
And Commissioner Tiki, go ahead.
Thank you. I just think now would be an appropriate time just for the new commissioners that haven't been on to take a look at the history of the site. We discussed this site quite a bit in 2021. And I know that Commissioner Maddow and Parkins, and I think the chairman as well, wanted to see sidewalks on Platt Road. And for some commissioners, it was a deal breaker to have any sort of a drive-through. We talked about the Todd Road, the access road that it is, and we're really concerned about the traffic that it would create let's not kid ourselves. This McDonald's is going to be jamming. There are other places in town where we've heard it's not going to be busy, and then it is very much so, especially with drive-throughs. And we talked about this in 2021 when we took up the site about not having a drive-through there because of the concerns we have. So I will read all of the materials, and I'm open to the presentation, but I just think it's important to look at the notes from all of our meetings on this, and that we had really approved it conditionally upon sidewalks. And for some of us, we did not want a drive-through at this particular location. We were told there would not be a drive-through at this location. It's just too bad. And looking at the maps, you can see Aruga's across the street, which is now out of business. And it would be great to see McDonald's in a location that fits with the drive-through. But I will continue to be open, but I think it's important to see the history of the site for those commissioners that might have not have been with us in 2021, and all the conversations we went through and trying to figure out what made the most sense at this site. And it was again and again, never going to be a drive-through.
Well stated, Commissioner Tiki. Thank you.
I would like to, I would respond to that, in that I was not involved in the 2021, but neither was the 2021 approval. To my reading of the approval in the plans, have any improvements to the Platte Road, Bridgeport Avenue intersection. So what the 2021 approval did was in fact say, we're going to have 10,000 square feet of retail, but we're not going to make any improvements to the traffic problem at the intersection, and apparently hope that the retail wasn't very successful. So I think that has to be balanced as you're looking at here, because in this case, there is a substantial, costly, and necessary improvement to Platte Road, which has been screamed about and asked for by many people over the years. With that, I know I know there's Leanne Cole from McDonald's. Some of the other McDonald's people I know were traveling. Leanne, are you prepared to handle the?
I'm able to speak to the architecture.
Dan, I'm sorry, Dan. I didn't say. Okay, Dan Allen.
Yep.
Are you able to handle the elevations then?
Yes, yeah, I can run through that. Just
And
introduce myself.
answer any questions about. Go ahead, Dan.
Yep, Dan Allen with Bowler, consultant for McDonald's, and kind of here representing them here tonight. If I can share my screen here, I can provide the elevations for you guys. Is that coming in clear?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay, so yep, so we have all kind of four sides of the building shown here at the front. As you can see, we kind of at the top of the building, we have a gray ephes material. And then along the sides, we have a kind of a hardy plank. And then kind of towards the bottom here is a kind of brick water table. And this is really consistent around the building. We think it's looks pretty nice and kind of provides some variety across the facade. It's not just kind of one consistent box, one would say. So I think that's really about it. And then of course we've got 4 proposed signs on here. You have the 2 14 square foot M logos, and then 34 square foot kind of McDonald's signs there. But we think it's one of McDonald's proto designs, and I think it's really aesthetically pleasing as well, and kind of consistent with the surrounding area. In reviewing the shopping plaza, it kind of looks similar to the designs within there. I know there's the Aruga's and then the Verizon building, as well as those kind of standalone buildings in the lot there. And we think we're kind of consistent with that architecture as well.
That rear elevation is highly visible from Todd Road, though. It should have a little bit better appearance, right?
Excuse me, I didn't catch the beginning of that.
I didn't catch the
non-drive
I said that so-called rear elevation really faces traffic coming up from Todd Road.
I think that's
yes. Yep. So yeah, so the rear elevation would be kind of facing Todd Road here.
Right, there's landscaping along, if they were driving up Todd Road, there is some landscaping and I believe there's an elevation change.
Mhm. Can you go back to your elevations, please?
Yep.
Just curious, while you had said that there's some compatibility with the businesses across the street, is there some other version where McDonald's is not using such dark and moody coloring? I find this to be a very depressing kind of appearance.
Is there no masonry? I'm still looking.
So for the lighter colors, I mean, they don't have anything like, say, the kind of previous red and yellow and white that kind of see on the old school ones. Those are kind of way
something
with
more
now. And
cream
Something
and
of
earth
earth
tones,
tone, right?
a little bit more earth tones.
Yeah, we have had some discussions with them. There is a lighter color gray brick that they have used and that certainly they're willing to discuss with you, various alterations in the color. This is their main prototype right now, but they do have a lighter shade of gray brick and they're certainly willing to increase. I think Dan referred to it as the water.
I think there should be
whatever
some
they're-
masonry introduced.
Yeah, the brick, yeah, that's been discussed with them. And that's not an issue that can be addressed. I mean, there was at one point, there was a comment about I think, and it may have been early on in the thing, looking at what was previously approved, which was all red brick, but they weren't leaning towards that. They do have a lighter gray brick. I know.
It also had a gabled roof on it. It was a little more attractive than a box.
Well,
yeah,
that
so
we
the
didn't discuss. Yeah, I mean, this is their the prototype store that they even the stores that refer to the chairman referred to in Derby are basically the shape of store, this type of store. The colorations certainly can be addressed somewhat.
Yeah, I'd like to see something along that line for sure.
So you're just like a more lighter tone across like the kind of water table here where the brick is, or is that more of like the whole building?
The whole building, lighter earth tones.
Gotcha.
But I
So
think
no-
what Dan was asking is, Tony, are you talking about a brick band around the entire building?
No. I don't think it has to be the entire building, but I think some components of it. And somehow or other try to do something with that roof line.
I know the kind of parapet kind of roof here is really kind of provided to kind of screen the mechanical equipment on top of the roof.
Okay, that's good.
Yep. So it kind of hides all that, which is why the parapet is provided there.
Any commissioners have any comments along this line? Okay, anything else, Mr. Panico?
Not at this point in time, but I'm sure we're going to have some more comments.
Okay, so anything else, Mr. Allen?
I don't think so. So yeah, really, I guess on the elevations, just looking for a lighter color.
Yes.
Okay, we can yeah, we can see what options are available for that then.
Okay, no more golden arches?
Little
We got
bitty
two of them.
ones,
We got
yeah.
two of them on the building.
Yeah.
There's none of the Ronald McDonald red, white, and yellow, I guess. Red mansard and white buildings. Those are kind of gone with the past.
Yeah, vintage. Okay, Attorney Thomas, anything else?
No, not at this point.
You
Okay,
have the elevations, don't you?
that's it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, if no one else has any comments or questions or concerns, I'll move along to the public portion. If there's anyone.
Chairwoman, there's
Yes.
just to the earlier conversation about the history of the site. When it was the 10,000 square foot building, we were told that it was up to 8 storefronts, but at least 6. And so there was no food and certainly no drive-through, and they were supposed to be small retail stores. So at that point, based on that development, I think Commissioner Parkins and Commissioner Matto and Commissioner Radomski at the time added the sidewalks in, which was an improvement to the roadway based on very small businesses that were going to be in there, small businesses, not a McDonald's drive-through.
Right. Okay. Very good. Answers. Okay. Okay, then if there's anyone from the public who is an elected official that would like to, of the city of Shelton, like to address the commission on this application, please use Zoom's raise your hand feature if you're using Zoom, or dial *9 if you're participating through the phone. Ms. Castro, is there any elected official in Shelton that is identifying themselves?
No elected officials.
Okay, if there's anyone from the public who would like to address the commission on this particular application, please use Zoom's raise your hand feature or dial *9.
I am adding in Margaret Paulson.
Okay.
Hello.
Go ahead,
Can you hear
Margaret.
me?
You have
Oh, thank you. My friends at Splash Car Wash and my friends at Spooner House, they would love an area to eat in with a park-like grounds. I suggest moving the sidewalk from the right side of Todd and keep the buffer on Todd and move it to the other side. And I think it might work, except if we have a major accident on Route 13 again. I mean, exit 13 on Route 8. You know, when traffic gets backed up and like squished. That's gonna be tricky. But you know, I've delivered my eggs from my hens over to Spooner House many a time. And it's tough. I mean, Big Y is expensive. They do need a little place, you know, to kind of like, you know, get their thoughts together. Little area there, a little picnic area. This might be the ticket. I'm not very, you know, fond of a drive-through, but if we had good sidewalks, it is a good plan. It might work.
Okay, anything else, Ms. Paulson?
Yes, garbage. I'd like to see more garbages at the entrances, exits, so they could throw their trash in before they hit Bridgeport Avenue. I'm sorry, Constitution Boulevard. Constitution Boulevard, we have seen trash from Wendy's. We have seen trash from, oh gosh, everywhere. This could become a dumping ground for McDonald's. I hope, I don't want to see that.
Well, regards to more receptacles, I'm sure McDonald's would be on top of that. And you know, when it comes to patrons, sometimes you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink.
Oh gosh, I trot right up to them.
Okay. You'd like to share with us?
I'm looking at my notes. Yeah, consider the sidewalk on the right side of Todd Road instead of the left. Keep the buffer. Let the people in the area, you know it's safe and, you know, secure. Everyone will be going up Bridgeport Avenue, and they're not going to be going Todd Road or, you know, in the back roads. You know, they're going to go up Bridgeport Avenue. That's what you got to concern yourself with. And yeah, Spooner House should have a walkway up there. You know what? You know, path for them. You know, past the tire store. I don't know why that tire store is still there, but yeah, Spooner House should have a path up there just to, you know, walk away from it all. You know, and a little area for kids to play. And that parking, that driveway there, that could be made more into a park-like setting for the kids, and more sidewalk instead of, you know, a bypass for accidents on Route 8, you know, when people are really backed up over here. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Polson. Ms. Castro, is there anybody else from the public?
None showing.
Okay, if there's anyone from the public that would like to address the commission on this application, please use Zoom's raise your hand feature or dial *9 on your phone. Okay, hearing none. Attorney Thomas, do you want to leave the public hearing open for the additional information that we discussed with the colors and the Attorney Thomas, you're on mute.
Yeah, I mean, if, you know, I didn't know whether or not the colorations and stuff could be left to staff, but if the commission wants to review it as part of the public hearing, certainly it can be left open so that we can give you different colorations and everything. Hopefully I can talk to your staff, talk to Tony and understand exactly what some of the other suggestions are with respect to the building.
Yeah, I don't think we should leave it up to staff for that kind of approval. It's a PDD, and I think the commission needs to keep their hand on it. So,
Judy, I'm also thinking we could use some guidance about these drive-through traffic queuing, and I don't feel qualified to evaluate how much there's going to be, but I understand. I'm reading the New York Times that people like to eat in their cars now, which I don't get, but it's become a big thing.
So the
drive-throughs.
To confirm the impact of a drive-through on this particular.
Yeah, you know, how much is a realistic expectation? And we've had issues in other places with the drive-throughs.
Okay.
Well, I certainly our traffic people and stuff can describe it. I mean, as you know, when a new place opens, there's usually the spurt and then it settles down. In some situations, you have it because of the design, and I think the most significant one on Bridgeport Avenue is the way the you know, the Starbucks have, but it's sort of settled down, and Chick-fil-A hopefully has settled down in its site. But yes, I can certainly, we can have SLR address the issue.
Let me just ask the rest of the commission, does anyone feel that this needs to be addressed through a peer review to go to that level? Or are you?
I think it'd be good to have someone outside of the applicant look at it.
I think it's an interesting idea. I think we can think of other drive-throughs that we have heard about and seen reports about that have been jammed, and it would be interesting to see a review with how much that site could handle and what it could queue, and what is the likelihood that it queues on to Todd or to Platt, since that's what the applicant is saying folks are going to come from out to Bridgeport Ave. I think that might be something that's wise to do.
Yeah, that kind of investigation and research is something that I think is something that staff could help us with, but any costs need to be picked up by the applicant. So.
Well, we'll certainly look at it as long as it's not unreasonable, like a couple of the other offers that were in the past. We understand that.
Right.
Although, you know, I mean, you do have to recognize that SLR is probably more familiar with Bridgeport Avenue and these drive-throughs and everything than anybody in this area. They're experienced, but it's commission's choice.
Right. I'm not questioning SLR's objectivity on this. It's just, it's a big step here. And this is like anything else. Once a building goes up, it's up for a number of years. So, and the occupancy is very important. So how does the rest of the commission feel? Are you comfortable, and just as Attorney Motto already said, that need someone outside of the applicant to submit some information, environment that we're going
Commissioner
to,
Kelly, I think we should leave it open. There's a lot of questions that have to be answered.
right, but on the topic of,
Yeah, I think we should have another study or something.
a formal
Source.
peer review to confirm
yeah.
traffic and the layout and the, okay. All right, and so anybody else?
This is Commissioner Laskos. I don't think that's necessary.
Mm-hmm.
Along with sidewalks, I don't think that's necessary. And the color, I've seen plenty of McDonald's, driven by them. They all seem to look the same. So I
Yeah,
don't agree with questioning the colors.
Okay, that's fine.
Commissioner Cristiano, I don't see it necessary. I'm appreciative of SLR's review of and reconfiguration of the traffic patterns on both Todd Road and Nels Rock and the approach there. I think it's an improvement, not just for the site, but for the rest of the city who travel in that area. I'm familiar with the area, and it is congested. Improvements to the area are going to help everybody. So I'm comfortable that they've done their due diligence in researching what is necessary for the traffic flow.
Okay, Commissioner Tiki, which way do you want to move? Because you're the deciding factor here.
Have a peer review, absolutely. It's a
Okay.
major deviation from what we previously approved, and we only approved it when we were told it would never be a drive-through.
Mm-hmm.
That's on the record.
Okay, very good. So, seems unless somebody disagrees, it seems that Commissioners Kelly, Tiki, Motto, and myself would swing for a peer review, and Commissioners Laskos and Cristiano would not. So consensus would be that we do have staff work with the applicant to have a peer review done.
And that would be about the queuing and the circulation and the queuing for that.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. I mean, it doesn't have to be the whole traffic report. in my
No,
opinion. Yeah.
no. Just like you said before, what's the realistic expectation for a business of that type to be in this location, in the vicinity with all the other traffic that goes through Bridgeport Avenue? Is there something that we're going to need to know ahead of time? Okay, so is there a motion to keep the public hearing open? To continue it?
Commissioner Kelly, I'll make that motion.
Okay, is there a second to continue the public hearing?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. So the motion made by Commissioner Kelly, seconded by Commissioner Motto to keep the public hearing open. Commissioner Cristiano,
Aye.
Commissioner Kelly,
Aye.
Commissioner Tiki,
Aye.
Commissioner Laskos,
Aye.
Commissioner Motto,
Aye.
and chair votes aye. Motion is passed by vote 6-0, and staff will schedule the continuation on an upcoming agenda. All right, our final public hearing this evening is for application 2401, PDD number 107, Dominic Thomas for BWiz LLC. Commissioner Motto, would you please read the notice of the hearing?
Sure. Initiation of application 24-01 PDD number 107, Dominic Thomas for BWiz LLC at 0 and 435 River Road, Assessors Map 66, lots 3 and 4, to amend the final site development plan to add a 20-foot strip of land that was intended to be conveyed to the adjacent property owner at 261 Coram Road. Plans entitled Proposed Residential Development 453 River Road, Route 110, Shelton, Connecticut, prepared by Vanessa Hagen and Bruce Lynn, P.E., are on file in the Planning and Zoning Office. This property is generally bound as follows. Northerly by 8 Louise Drive, easterly by 442 River Road, southerly by 475 River Road, and westerly by 245 Coram Road.
Very good. Thank you, Commissioner Motto. This application was accepted for review on February 14th, 2024. Documents posted for review on the city's website include the application for a PDD zone change, initial development concept plans, and final site development plans. The statement of uses and standards, site plans, sign posting photos, and a certificate of mailing. Mrs. Castro, was any correspondence received within the time period for this proposal and not yet post city's website that we need to acknowledge for the record?
No, there wasn't.
Okay. Attorney Thomas, please identify yourself and proceed.
Yes, Attorney Dominic Thomas, Conan Thomas, 315 Main Street, Derby, Connecticut, representing the applicant. The purpose of this application is to correct a situation which I will describe to you what happened. The developer in this property has a contract to purchase the property, purchase a series of properties, but the main size property, the contract called for the conveyance or the leaving a 50-foot strip along 261 Coram Road, which is one of the owners of the property, Phyllis Walsh's property, and it was to be a 50-foot strip. And that was approved in the Plan Development District, excluded that, the approval of the PDD initial concept plans, it did not include that 50-foot strip. The final site development plans approved in October did not include that 50-foot strip. Subsequent to the approval of the plans, in meetings with the Walsh family and going back and forth, there was 20-foot of that was supposed to be encumbered by slope rights. 20-foot of the 50-foot was supposed to be encumbered by slope rights. In conversations with the Walsh family, they decided they did not want that 20 feet. They wanted just a 30-foot strip of land around their property, which has landscaping in it and some drainage in it. So the 20-foot strip has to be added back into the PDD. So the application basically modifies the square footage and the property description of the PDD in the statement of uses and standards, and then asks that the initial concept plan and the final site development plans both acknowledge that there's this additional 20-foot strip. And if you bear with me a second, so I can exit full screen and delete what I put up before, and I will try to at least show you a picture of what we are talking about. So this is the plans. Well, hopefully you can see it. This is the plan set that was filed, and what we are talking about, and I can get a better shot here, I think. Okay, so what we are talking about is this 30-foot strip. It was originally a 50-foot strip, but now it's just a 30-foot strip. So this 20-foot strip that was alongside of it is added to this area of property that's 20 feet out from this line is being added to the PDD 107. And
Which
that's basically
looks like the letter L, the section that looks like the letter L.
the letter L, this here, right, is the 30-foot strip that's going with 261, and 20 feet out from that and around here is in an L shaped is being added to the PDD where the sloping occurs.
So the buffer was 50 feet and it ended right at the driveway?
It wasn't a buffer, it was property that she wanted to retain.
Okay, right.
That had slope rights. There was no, she's one of the property owners of the property that's being sold for the PDD.
Okay, but it's just that
She wanted
the
to
driveway was laid out, it went along the property boundary.
It went, exactly, the driveway, I do think the driveway may have been adjusted in the final site development plans, I'm not sure, I'm not the engineer. But what
Yeah.
I'm saying, yes, the driveway was close to the 50-foot, and then there were slope rights given
slope
to
rights?
the developer. Here, she didn't want the property that had the slope rights on.
Could you explain the slope rights, the slope easement or something?
Slope rights are what is given when you are, it's the right given to an adjacent property owner to slope on your property.
Will
So
there
the
be
best
any
example
need-
I can,
Will there be any need for a construction easement, temporary construction easement?
no.
So you can agree to preserve the 30 feet in its existing state.
Well, no, there's actually the conveyance, requires some changes there. There's some landscaping going in there. And there's things that are being done for the benefit of the property owner.
Okay.
There are
And-
actually some
and the
trees,
property
some
owner's
dead trees
agreeable
being
with it.
cut down, things like that. Dead trees being cut down and, you know what I mean? And stuff like that, but it's all for the benefit of the property owner.
Any screening, will that be on the 30-foot or the 20?
It's on the 30-foot.
Okay, and you'll have the right
It's on her if she wanted it property, she wanted it on her property.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so there will be landscaping.
Yes,
But whatever you do on the 20-foot section, we're not gonna end up with like a cliff coming from.
no. This actually 20-foot section was reviewed by, this whole of these plans, when they went back in for the final review with Alex, this is the way, what the plans were. And when I was advised of this, because it was after the approval, when I was advised of this, that, that this had happened, I had been in the process of negotiating with the attorney for Ms. Walsh for the resolution. And then, because I wasn't involved that heavily in the final site development plans, then I noticed that it had to be changed.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but
The square
overall,
footage,
I was just gonna say, but overall, the footprint of the development is not increasing. So
No changes at all, right?
no changes at all, none.
And you will not need the encroachment permit from that 50-foot strip to accommodate the radius at the Quorum Road entrance.
No, we're not.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay, any questions from the commission? Okay, hearing none, let me just open it up to the public. If there's any elected officials, City of Shelton, that would like to address the commission on this application, please use Zoom's raise your hand feature or dial *9 on your phone.
No one showing.
Okay, and if there's any member of the public who is not an elected official who would like to address the commission on this application, would you please use Zoom's raise your hand feature or dial *9 on your phone?
Margaret Polson is being promoted.
Okay.
Thank you for listening.
Okay, Margaret, identify yourself for the record and your address.
Sure. Margaret Paulson, 64 Sunset Drive. Forgive my voice. I've been talking all night. This area, if you look up Peachmont Lane right now, you see the towers and, it's very close to Constitution Boulevard South. You see it's very ugly, in other words. This is the continuation of ugliness. We should really consider One Laurel Heights Road as a model for the existing. If you look at one, I wish I could screen share. I don't know how to do it. But if you look at One Laurel Heights, that is a responsible development. It's a buffer and hidden from the River Road.
Are you referring to the condo complex that's on
that is across the street, Laurel Heights Road, adjacent to this project, across the old Danny O's, or if you will remember the old Redwood Inn. And not many of you do, I'm sure. But the buildings, that are existing right now for this project are too intense. They overshadow
Ms. Paulson, the proposal has been approved. This is what you have
Yes,
to express your
correct.
comments to.
And I'm
is just
afraid
whether-
that
Ma'am,
I'm
do not interrupt me. What you have to discuss and address is whether or not this 20-foot section of property can go back into the PDD. What we're doing tonight, or what we would do at a future meeting, would not have any impact on what's been already approved. Where the buildings are, how many buildings are gonna be, what amenities are on site. It's the discussion needs to be concentrated on whether or not this 20-foot section of property can be added into the PDD. Okay?
Yes, as long as the buildings don't get expanded into it.
The,
I would rather have it. Yes, I approve. I would like it to be open space for this area. Thank you.
Okay, I think Attorney Thomas has addressed that concern about the buildings not being moved or anything. He had indicated no changes. Ms. Castro, anybody else?
Yes, I'll be promoting Christopher.
Hello, this is Christopher Turchek. I'm at 8 Jordan Avenue.
Go ahead.
Hi, I just had some questions because it's been very difficult for me to find out information about this project, so I do apologize that maybe my questions are pertaining to the overall project. But just what is the time frame for construction? And I am located rather close to the development site, and I'm just concerned about the peaceful enjoyment of my home being so close, as well as my neighbors that are around me, since this is such a residential street, Jordan Avenue. We're all single family homes. And we just do have concerns, and I was just curious if somebody could explain.
Yep, after all the members of the public present their comments, Attorney Thomas will address them.
Okay, we do have traffic concerns and pedestrian safety, as well as concerns for people. And I do agree that that little strip of land should not be for later expansion of buildings, which I know typically can sometimes happen. We begin to reimagine what is the original plan to expand bigger. So just want to make sure that that's clear, that that's not what this strip
Doesn't
of.
help their site at all.
Right, right. Okay, anything else, Mr. Churchak?
I think that's everything for right now.
Thank you very much.
And thank you.
Okay, Ms. Castro, is there anyone else?
I have a Frank.
Okay.
Hello, I'm Frank Turchek, 27 Fanny Street.
Good evening, go right ahead.
My concern is we're adding more drainage area or taking away drainage area to this property. Is this going to increase the amount of water that flows across the pavement? Because right now it's just a natural area to absorb any water that comes down. Now water coming down this increased area is going to flow onto the pavement, onto 110. How is this going to be handled and taken care of, so it's not more of a traffic hazard having larger puddles on that blind corner coming around on 110? That was my concern.
I think the applicant should have represented the fact so that the public would know that there is no change to the physical plan. It's simply adjusting a property line.
Yeah, that's about sums it up.
Yeah, the basic plan has been approved.
Understand, but we're adding just more property to this plan.
No, that we're not adding anything. What's done is done. Those sloped areas were already there. They were going to be on an easement from the adjacent property owner. Now they're going to be under the ownership of the person that's creating those slopes. So it's been approved in the fashion that it is today. And that is not changing.
Okay, maybe Attorney Thomas can elaborate on that when it's his turn. Is there anybody else, Ms. Castro?
There is not.
Okay, final call. Any city official, anybody in the public who wants to address the commission on this application, please use Zoom's raise your hand feature or dial *9 on your phone. Okay, hearing none. Attorney Thomas, your turn.
You're on mute again.
Yeah, I think Mr. Panico responded very clearly to the question. This is already, we're not doing anything other than moving the property line. Slopes were there. And that's it. And I would hope, to this mistake, I would hope the commission could consider a quick approval of this lot line change so we could proceed on with the remaining stuff we need to do to start the project. As far as the construction sequencing, I'm not involved in that, thankfully.
How about the time frame? Nothing, you have no.
I really don't, we are, the final Ts are being crossed and Is are being dotted with respect to DOT and DEEP. They're in process and just about done now anyway.
You have, there's no access to anybody from the applicant that could address the time frame and pedestrian access that was asked about?
Well, I don't know. I mean, Mr. Griffin was on, but I mean, our time frame depends on the transactions, but I don't know how it's related to the.
But you also have to
the
get
lot line,
some.
but I mean, I don't know if anybody, I can't address it, but I just don't know if it's relevant to
But
this. We
before
don't know
Attorney Thomas, but before anything even happens, you still have to get the state approval from DOT.
Right, we have to get an AD in the process with OSTA. And we have to get approval from District 3.
Right.
And we have to get approval from, well, I think the general permit is just about done.
Okay, so are we talking project shovel in the ground, 3 months, 6 months?
It would be a wag if I gave you a number and trying to estimate how fast District 3 or OSTA is going to move.
But it's not
Not tomorrow.
Okay.
No.
That's for sure.
Okay, anybody have any questions for Attorney Thomas? Is everybody clear on the situation?
Madam Chair, are we allowing additional public comment? I have someone showing interest.
Oh, there is somebody?
Yes.
Is it just one person?
Currently, yes.
Okay. Let's identify the person, please.
Adding in Patrick.
And anybody else in the queue? Ms. Castro?
No.
Okay. Is he in the meeting?
Yes.
Okay, Patrick, please identify yourself for the record.
He's on mute.
Patrick, are you?
My apologies for, I was trying to hit the mute button and wouldn't flip off.
Okay, go
Patrick O'Leary, PE,
ahead.
retired from VHB.
Mhm.
I was the project manager for this project as it went through the approvals. The construction timeframe potentially could commence in 3 to 6 months, somewhere in that timeframe. Highly dependent upon the final approvals coming down through for the Department of Transportation. Of course, prior to commencement of construction, there's pre-con meetings with the town, building permits. So there's still a fair amount of work before a shovel is actually going to get into the ground. The best, at very best, would be maybe 3 to 6 months.
Okay. Anything else, Mr. O'Leary?
Unless you have any questions, I'm going to go back to retirement.
Nice to hear from you, Mr. O'Leary.
Thank you.
I want to join you.
Okay, there isn't anything else. Is there a motion from the commission to close the public hearing?
I'll make the motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second it, Commissioner Kelly.
Okay, so on the motion to close the public hearing, Commissioner Amato, seconded by Commissioner Kelly. Do a roll call. Commissioner Laskos?
Aye.
Commissioner Tiki?
Aye.
Commissioner Amato?
Aye.
Commissioner Cristiano?
Aye.
Commissioner Kelly?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Motion to close the public hearing has passed by a vote of 6 to 0. How does the commission want to address this particular application? Do you feel comfortable on acting on it tonight? Or,
We could dispatch this right now.
okay,
Yeah, I agree.
all right. Any
Agreed.
other commissioner have any disagreement with that about about moving forward?
I think it's
Great.
fine.
All right, so is there a motion to approve application 2401 to amend the final site development plan to add the 20-foot strip of land to the project?
Commissioner Cristiano, I make that motion.
I'll
Okay,
second it, Commissioner Kelly.
Could you please set an effective date?
effective,
It's a zone map change
right.
because you're changing the concept plan. And
Mr. Castro, I mean, Mr. Rossetti, you have to do notices. So what time? What's the time frame? 2 weeks? For
2
approval?
weeks is 2 weeks is fair.
Okay, today is the 21st. Would Friday, March 1st be sufficient, Ms. Castro?
That's kind of tight, isn't it?
No, give me, yeah, I need to get the motions in. Can we go with 3 weeks?
The 8th?
Yes.
Okay, to be effective, so there's a motion from Commissioner Cristiano, seconded by Commissioner Kelly to approve application 2401 with an effective date of March 8th,
Don't we have to vote
2024.
on it?
Yeah, I'm reading it.
Okay.
2024. And so on a roll call, Commissioner Kelly,
Aye.
Commissioner Cristiano,
Aye.
Commissioner Lascos,
Aye.
Commissioner Amato,
Aye.
Commissioner Tiki,
Aye.
and chair votes aye. Motion is passed by a vote of 6-0 to approve application 2401. Well, thank you, everyone. Seeing that there's no other.
Thank you very
on the
much.
agenda, the chair declares this evening's meeting is adjourned as of 9:20 p.m. Thank you. Good night. We'll see you next week.
Night, everyone.
All right.